Hey, have you ever been so dumb your denseness basically counted as a superpower? Have you ever wanted to be so tough your muscles could deflect bullets, extinguish fire, and definitely let you drink the salty spittoon? Well, congratulations! You might be a totem warrior. But what is a totem warrior, you ask? Well, sit that pretty little bottom down and let me spin you a yarn. Did you guys ever play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and get to the part where you have to fight Armstrong and think to yourself, wow, this huge steaming hunk of man flesh is really annoying? Well, guess what? That's you, baby! Welcome to the world of barbarians, where you half most of the damage you take, cause, let's face it, you're not that great at math anyway. All barbarians get access to rage! Halving all incoming slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning damage as long as you're not wearing heavy armor. You get unarmored defense, making your pecs hard as diamonds, danger sense, reckless attack, yada yada yada, but let's get into the meat! You're a totem barbarian, so you get to crank those abilities up to 11. At 3rd level, you get to choose a spirit totem from a list of 5. There's bear, pick bear, eagle, pick bear, elk, pick bear, tiger, pick bear, and wolf, pick bear. Now, let me tell you what they do in no particular order. All while raging, the wolf totem lets you become leader of the pack, giving allies around you advantage on melee attacks as long as you are within 5 feet of the target. Pretty cool. The tiger totem gives you the agility of a cat, adding 10 feet to your long jump and 3 feet to your high jump. Yeah, it kinda sucks. The elk totem blasts that walking speed up by 15 feet, making sure you can always get into the action. Okay, we're getting there. The eagle totem lets you dash as a bonus action, and creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you. Okay, better. And that's all, I think, right? Wait, one more? The motherfucking bear totem makes you resistant to all damage except psychic. What's that? That doesn't sound impressive? Well, let me show you how nasty it is. Taking this at level 3 basically doubles your hit points for the entire game. Combined with some hill dwarf racial features or the tough feat, at level 20 you can basically have the same hit point total as an avatar of goddamn Tiamat. As a rule, you are more or less unkillable until your DM gets really tired of your shit and decides to use one of, the 3 monsters that can use psychic damage? You are a wall of flesh, piss, and vinegar, and you feel no pain. On top of that, you also get speak with animals and beast sense that you can cast as rituals. You're not really smart enough as a barbarian to cast actual spells, so you eat some poo on the ground, say it belongs to the deer over there, and stare at it for 10 minutes until it comes and talks to you. And for some reason that works. At level 5 you get an extra attack, and just for poops and giggles they throw in an extra 10 feet of movement, but at level 6 you get to choose another totem in aspect of the beast. Now you can choose the same totem as your original, or a different one, and they all do new cool stuff. Choosing the bear again, because of course you chose bear, gives you big burly arms, an uncontrollable addiction to honey, but it also doubles your carrying capacity and you have advantage on strength checks to move objects around. This time the eagle totem forced you to eat a ton of carrots and gain the ability to see up to a mile away with no difficulty, and through dim light with no disadvantage. The elk totem doubles your travel speed. Not your actual speed, just your travel speed. It's really situational and kinda dull, to be honest. The tiger totem gives some much needed skills barbarians are actually super lacking in. You can pick 2 of either athletics, acrobatics, stealth, or survival, and I'm sure if your DM is cool, they will let you swap one out for something that makes sense if you're already proficient in all these skills. Intimidation would be great. The wolf totem lets you track other creatures at a fast pace and move stealthily at a normal pace. Useful, if a little underwhelming compared to, By 7th level, you get Feral Instinct, giving you advantage on initiative rolls, and Instinctive Pounce, letting you move half your speed as a bonus action as long as you also enter a rage. Why is this an optional feature? This should have always been a part of the Barbarian's kit. But at 9th level, you get Brutal Critical, adding another damage die to your weapon on critical hits. Hell yeah. By 10th level, you can use that same totem ability to cast Commune with Nature as a ritual. It's a pretty cool spell, allowing you to gain knowledge on the area around you, but it also takes at least 10 minutes to cast, which could limit its uses. So not only are you eating poo off the ground, that deer you made friends with can tell you, "Oi bud, there's a Bulgara out there in them woods, and watch out for sky snakes." At 11th level, you get Relentless Rage, making you even more annoying to take out, and 13th level gives you another Brutal Critical die, but 14th level lets us pick our 3rd and final totem. The biggest bear totem forces all creatures within 5 feet of you to have disadvantage on attack rolls against anyone else but you, really putting to use all that extra damage you can sponge up. They are technically immune to this effect if they can't be frightened, but I love the idea that you're so intimidating that an enemy is completely terrified and can't think about anything other than trying to take you down. The deadliest eagle just straight up gives you a flying speed. Yeah, a no concentration flying speed on the barbarian. Now, you're still dumb as a brick, so if you fly 40 feet in the air and end your turn, you drop like a sack of potatoes, but fuck it. What's 40 feet of fall damage to you? Like 2 hit points? Take the hit and fly up again next turn. Or, even funnier, grapple the enemy and just seismic toss their ass straight into the dirt. The horniest elk... alright. You can run right over people, forcing them to make a strength save or be knocked on their ass. Pretty cool. You become the Juggernaut from...
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Yeah. The stripiest tiger lets you pounce like that cool cat and kitten you are and make an extra attack as a bonus action as long as you ran at least 20 feet in a straight line directly at the target, which, let's face it, that's what you do anyway. And the doggoiest wolf lets you use a bonus action to knock a creature prone as long as you hit with a melee attack. This does not say take the shove action, so no save, no athletics check, just trip a guy every turn to be an ass. It's actually really fun. Not as fun as flying 40 feet in the air and then dropping it like it's hot, but still. The next levels in Barbarian let you burst all the capillaries in your face, making you rage for eternity, and then become so strong you never have to make a strength check. But level 20 is where it's at. The Primal Champion ability lets you break the ability score cap and raise your strength and constitution to a max of 24 instead of 20. This not only ups your HP and damage, it affects all the things a Barbarian wants to be good at, and just makes you better at them. Flavor is the name of the game when it comes to the Totem Barbarian. The book describes them as calling on aspects of nature to grant you cool boons, but you can absolutely ignore that and do whatever you want. You could flavor your bear totem, cause let's face it, you picked bear, as metal or rocky body armor like the best 2 characters in My Hero Academia, Don't At Me. Your eagle totem could be a literal eagle picking you off the ground and yeeting you at the enemy, or you screaming at the ground like the silliest character in X-Men. Or your elk totem could be... Okay, don't pick elk. It's actually pretty bad by comparison. So if you like tanking so much damage you become a threat to actual gods, eating shit off the ground to talk to deer, and making your DM restructure their entire campaign to find one enemy that does psychic damage, guess what? You might be a totem warrior.
No, who is this?
Toto? I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Hello, Internet! We are here, episode 45. I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat that we're on and you guys are with us. For those of you who are with us right now, you might be a little surprised and probably a little bit curious as to what's going to happen in our show today. We did put out there, for those of you who are like eagle eyes and really know what we're doing, we did put out there at one point that we were going to have an episode on treasure. And then we got some fantastic news. It was a little close to our show date, and we had already announced that we were going to be talking about treasure. Thank you, Sean Rogers. And we heard from our pal, Luke Gygax, and he said, hey, I can be on your show Monday, which we were really hoping for. And so we basically did away with the treasure plan and told everybody we're having Luke Gygax on our show tonight. And that was fully the plan. I want you all to know I'm looking at the camera. That was fully the plan.
It was it was the plan.
Yes, until about 30 minutes before we were going to start kind of doing like our pre-show stuff, to just check everything, the video, the sound, all that stuff. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but let's just say that there's been a little bit of a snafu with having Luke on tonight. Thus, you don't see him right now. However, we are in talks to reschedule everything. There's just kind of been a last minute thing that popped up. And so I don't want you all to think that we are clickbaiting you. It is happening. It's serious. We've been in talks. I'll probably not going to post screenshots, but I'll do something.
We had several astronauts, but
Yeah, So let's see. We are live and audio is working fine so far.
Next week,
That is
we're
right.
gonna
Knock on
interview
wood.
the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, you know what? And then I think Sir Patrick Stewart's probably going to be really great to have on here. So we'll just keep going. Honestly, oh my gosh, I would die if I had him on here. But anyway.
Well, wait. Now I can't say this. We did write to Vince Vaughn.
That's right.
And we're in with his scheduler, so we can say that too. Like we're trying. I mean, this is a different type of podcast, and guests space out. I know you guys before with Merwin, we're always sweating just before the guests come, and it's happened to us before where something comes up with a guest. So if you're out there and you're listening to us, we're sorry our guest couldn't make it tonight.
Yes.
So Sean Rogers is asking what it is that the topic is this evening.
So, we have a couple things for you in store. So the number one being that Dr. Platorius is with us tonight. So those of you who are our regulars may not or may know that he has been gone from the show for quite a bit of time. He has been in our dungeons of Dungeon Studios, hard at work to make sure everything is going out and being done when it should be done. Bless his soul. Sorry. But yes, we have him here with us tonight. We let him out of the dungeon on good behavior, and so he's going to hang out with us tonight and talk. And we also thought that we might talk about making terrain because I have quite a few exhibits. It's one of the things I like to do in my games because I have an in-person game. And so I will take the time out if I think we have a good battle map coming up somewhere where I think we might be fighting. I will spend the time to make the terrain. And I'm also I have a 3D printer. I have nothing against it. I just really enjoy the challenge of being able to make them cheaply as well. And with less effort and hopefully maybe less painting because I'm bad at painting. So that's my motivation for that. So I figured we could do a little bit of talking about making terrain, show off some of these examples and talk about that. And if there's anything else you guys want to talk about in the chat, let us know. We will bring it up.
Right. Think about the game.
Yeah, it's kind of a free-for-all tonight, folks. Well, we can do whatever we want to do tonight.
I've seen some of Amber's terrain. It's freaking awesome. She makes some amazing terrain.
Well, thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I might say I suggested this topic a few weeks ago, by the way.
You sure did, and I love it. I love the idea.
And I think terrain, it definitely adds to that tabletop game. I mean, I play Theater of the Mind, and I don't get to play with other people, and I totally miss it. And then when I see setups, it's amazing. Right. I read this week there was a guy that has a permanent setup, and you go play in his permanent location.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have to look it up again.
There's a few people that do that, actually. There's a couple of people that do that. There's a guy in Hollywood that does it, but there's a few others around the place.
Yeah. You talk about the game. There are people that have set up they have the whole diorama, so you can go in there and play a whole campaign book, and everything's all set up, ready to go. It's amazing.
So, I mean, while we do talk about terrain, there are some pros and cons to the old terrain thing. Perhaps Amber can tell us about those, seeing as she's got the most experience here with terrain.
That would be good to
hear too, I mean, I don't know that I can talk about the cons. For me, it's all pro. I love having, I guess I understand Theater of the Mind. We've talked about that before, and why having a battle map in place may not always be the best for your group. Sometimes it's nice to kind of have those soft rules of where everyone is in relation to each other, so that you can keep everything kind of very theatrical.
Well, VVTs do that too, though.
Huh?
A VVT does the same thing.
VTT, yes.
VVT does the same thing. So it does.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But so I enjoy... for me, it's more of, I know my players also enjoy kind of the ooh and the ah of how the heck did you put this together with styrofoam and glue and string, right? Right. So, gosh, let's see. Let's talk about this, the whys, right? So aside from getting away, I don't want to say getting away from Theater of the Mind, but just, is Avery in the room? Hey, Avery.
Yeah.
It's about the level of immersion that your players or your group wants, right? And I know for me, because I had newbie players, I knew that they would be a little bit more on the side of, I think, seeing the physical props, seeing the physical maps would really help them get into the game and understanding where they are in relation to everybody. And then I'll usually try to steer my players into an area that I think is going to be fun to make terrain for, right? Like if everything's just a field and a forest, like I'm over it. I don't need to make another like green grassy area with trees. Like it's all green, grassy and trees. But something interesting like, oh gosh, we're going to go into a desert and now they're going to see a ruin. Okay, that I can have fun building. So I will.
It's interesting. It's funny you say this now. Like I said, I've never been a big terrain person or anything. But back in the day, we used to go to this waterfall, and we would jump in this waterfall and go swimming in it and stuff. And I had to build a cardboard model of it to use for the D&D game because I was like so familiar. Yeah, I built a complete 3D cardboard replica of this thing as years ago. But I can totally see that.
That's so cool.
The maquettes. The verticalness. What were you going to say, Russell?
Sorry. I used to make maquettes in filmmaking for scenes. So I would take like a cardboard shoebox or something and then decorate the interior of it so I could figure out camera angles and acting and blocking and so on, and all that sort of stuff.
That's interesting.
The closest thing I've gotten to building terrain. I was going to ask you, Amber, when you're building terrain, how much do you think about using like vertical spaces and things to make, giving those sorts of extra elements to combat and such?
So I think about that a lot, actually, even though the players that I run for right now are all level 15. So flight is definitely on the table. And because they're so strong, I'm usually throwing enemies at them that have a range of abilities. Some will be flying, some will be on the ground, some might be invisible, what have you. So I'm always thinking about that. But that usually what I end up doing is I'm thinking about the locale that they're going to be in. And then I think, what would be a really cool place in that locale? Like if I'm going to do desert, what's the cool place? Is it a ruin in the desert? Is it a waterfall in the desert? Is it an oasis? Like I'm going to find the thing that I think is interesting. And then I'll start seeding that into the game so that they kind of get interested. Once I know they're going, then I start making the terrain. And I'll make sure that they can't get to it in that same session, right? So that now I'm like, okay, I'll have it ready for the next session. And then when I build it, I usually will build it out and think to myself, like, we need places for people to hide because I have rogues. I need places for people to like get a good angle because we have a gunslinger. So he might want to like do a little sniping. Things like that. So I think about a lot of the various spaces that the players will need when I build the terrain.
Right. Do you think about like when I'm building a scene for myself, I often think about, those things, elements like height and so on, but also kind of like elements as well, like actual like fire, water, earth, air elements, those sort of natural elements. And how do you deal with that when you're making terrain? Because those are quite tricky things to build, I imagine.
Yes. So water is one. I guess it depends on how deep the water is going to be. I really do I'm one of those. If I were a filmmaker, I would be the practical effects person, right? Not the computer graphics. So I would, if I could, incorporate real water, right? Because we have minis. They're not going to be hurt by water. So like I have the play, I don't know if you know this, but there's this play sand that you can buy for kids. And it's creepy because it sticks to each other. Like the sand sticks to itself, but it doesn't.
Magnetic sand.
Is it like magnetic sand or something, right?
Sand.
That is the best.
That's on my list here. That's on my list of DIY
So that is one of my best
sand.
like little secrets for sandy terrain is you buy that stuff because it's so easy to clean up afterwards. And you can get it in different colors. You can form it.
Anything you want. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Kinetic sand. That's what it is. Thank you.
Kinetic
yes.
sand.
And Sean, yes. Building waterfalls, so much fun. But yeah, so I will try to use real water when I can, or like, have a fog machine that's actually spitting out fog. And then if I can't, I'll use like glue effects or some kind of what's the word I'm thinking of? Like a clear,
Like
shellac, kind of a resin or something. Yeah, to like protect, but then the minis are standing on top of it. It's not quite as much fun, So it just depends on the type of terrain I'm going to make. So, and then like you were talking about fire. Let me see if I can find it.
Any fire? Fire.
So for fire, my best little hack. Okay, so dollar store candles. You can buy little dollar store electric tea light candles. Okay, and then let me see if I have one. Okay, they might not.
But that isn't really fire, though. I mean,
just wait. But so it's just a little thing. This is an electric light. This is different because this is colors. But it's about this size, right? And it's just a flame, a little fake flame. But then you take cotton batting and you glue it around the base, and then you just spray paint a little bit of black. Gosh. And then
it looks great.
When you turn it on, it flickers like a candle.
Wow.
And it looks like flame. Nice. So easy, super cheap and easy. That's great. Yeah. Jeez. So I'll save these, and then especially if I have like a battle where the wizard's doing a lot of like, magic missiles and stuff. Yeah, it looks like smoke. And so I'll just start turning these on and placing them all over the battlefield. So yeah, super cheap and easy, and you can make these and just store them wherever. So that's fire.
Now stop. Now wait. See, she just said, and Russell asked you earlier, what are the cons?
Right. Storage. Yeah.
All right. So, and the first thing I wrote was storage. She just said, throw this thing anywhere. Right. So we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to storage.
Here's a question for you. Like, how do you, if you had to run a game at somebody else's house or at some other location, would you be able to do that?
It really depends on what I made, right? Some of these pieces I'm going to show you are really large. Some can be really delicate.
Russell, some of those Tupperware things have wheels. I could see her having it like inside.
Yeah, stuff. I have traveled with my terrain before. I just have to be very picky and choosy about what I'm bringing, so it will make it there safely. Right. Okay, so
careful selection.
Fire and water, air. I talked about. I don't have it with me. I could get up and get it, but it is a little personal size. I want to say it looks like
an electric fan.
Imagine the size of an electric fan.
Yeah, but my daughter has one she brings to the amusement park.
But it is an electric fogger. It is a little mini personalized fogger. And so it comes with a little, like about this size, this is just a 3M hook, this size water bottle. So just a little tiny water bottle that you fill with water, and then you put the cap on it, and then it plugs into a USB port. Now this thing...
Not fog fluid?
It's not fog fluid. It's just water.
That's great. That's
right?
Awesome. Yeah,
it's great. Now, the only downside is, I should pull it out to show you guys what it looks like. But so it has kind of this, it almost looks like a little mini microphone because it has this round kind of, I don't know, thing at the end, right? And because it's water inside, and it is spitting out fog, but then wherever this area is, it will like have condensation that kind of drips. Right, so if you don't have a battle map or an area that is okay with water, you're going to want to put it on something. And plus this thing is unsightly, right? Like you don't want to just lay this on a battle map. Like you want it kind of maybe hidden so it just feels like there's mist all around. So then, I created like a little fake wall or something, to kind of hide it.
You can hide it.
Yeah, and then there's, mist all around my my thing. So that's for air. Also, I can make just these for clouds. So this is the same thing as the smoke. I just didn't spray paint it, right? So this is the cotton batting. I've screwed it. I've glued it onto a little metal ring here. So basically, when we're in the sky, let's say we're doing sky ships, right? So I have like just a plain white battle map, and then I have these clouds sitting in various places, so it feels like they're flying through the clouds, okay? Nice. Now, if I wanted to give them a little bit of a mystical element, like they're in the Feywild flying through clouds, well, then I used this little LED light that I had, and I put it up under here, and now the clouds kind of take on. And now this thing has, let's see, it has a setting. Oh, here it is. So I can just make it just green only.
Right.
or pink only. You know, I can have it
Yep.
strobe.
Oh, you got the little color remote there.
Yeah, I've got the color remote.
Show that
I've
remote
got
to
one for
everybody.
these lights up
Yeah,
here.
that's
These
awesome.
Yeah.
colored lights I've got behind me. I have an app for my phone that controls them.
Right. So basically I can have this, you know, strobing so it feels like the magic is pulsing in the clouds or flickering or, you know, changing colors or what have you.
Right.
Yeah. So all of those all over the place. That's fine too. That works.
Fantastic. Wow.
So what do we do?
Okay,
Fire,
so
water,
water,
air.
air. We haven't done earth exactly, although you did talk about sand a little bit.
Yeah, so the sand, the kinetic sand is great because I've had like little miniatures that you can hide beneath the sand and then smooth out the sand so that when they're walking, you can like ambush them with, you know, fighters that were waiting for them and hiding in the dirt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So did you
Now
put
that's
minis
while
in
we're
the
talking
sand?
about sand, that comes up in one of my simple hacks. If you have a Zen garden, you can use your little Zen garden and you can like set it up for different, you know, just have it there on the table and could be set up for different things.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, Zen garden. Those are all over the place.
Yeah, those little tiny ones when you see them.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. So
Excuse
were
me.
you saying that you actually bury the minis in the sand and
Yeah.
then pull them out?
And they pop out.
Yeah, yeah. You know, yeah, I'll, you know, make it like so it looks like it's a battle map terrain and they'll just kind of go wandering like, oh, what's over here? There's debris over here. And then I'm like, oh, yes. And there's also a skeleton that jumps out.
Right. A shambling mound.
A shambling mound that comes out of the sand. Did I bring... I just want to see... I don't know if I brought it over. Okay. The other thing for, if we're going to talk about Earth, right? Lava, I just did, I don't know, this was probably earlier this year, a trip to the lava. They went to like an old volcano where they were trying to like relight this old forge and all this stuff. Right. So I made little lava tiles. So this I do a lot where I make a lot of modular tiles so that I can kind of just like piece them together how I need them to be. There we go. So this one was actually really interesting. So, and this is I'm gonna talk about more about this foam, but this is XPS foam, which I use for almost all of my terrain because it's the easiest to work with. But this is the important part right here. You can't see that very well. But these little tiny black things.
Oh no, we can see it. It looks awesome.
Okay, so the little tiny black things, that's corkboard. And corkboard on top of. And corkboard, when you pull corkboard apart, it has the perfect texture to look like broken lava. Because it's like when you break styrofoam that you get from like your Amazon boxes, like you try to break it in half, it never breaks straight. It always breaks in kind of like these weird crooked ways. And that's the same thing with this with the corkboard. So you just grab XPS foam, take a bunch of like if you have corkboard, what are those? The coasters. Or a corkboard, I don't know what else you could buy with corkboard in it, and just rip it up and then just glue it on there and you have lava.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then I just make a bunch of tiles and decide to put them together however I want to put them together. And
very nice.
That's a collage technique. I forget what it's called when you glue things and then you pull them back and what's left behind. It's actually, there's a French term.
Is it like a mosaic or no?
No, it's actually a French term. It's under category of collage. They've all the different terms when you actually put paper on top of paper, and then when you put paper on top of paper and then peel the paper back off what's left behind.
Yeah.
Then if you trim around an image or if you just rip around an image, there's like all different French. It's all French words.
Right.
I can't remember them offhand, but made me think of that.
Interesting. Well, if somebody knows, shout it out.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
That's great lava tiles. I love
Thank
them.
you. And then so Avery just said something and now my brain is already going a million miles. Decoupage. Yes.
Right. The art of decorating an object by gluing colored paper cutouts onto it.
That's right. Okay,
but there's another word for pulling them back off.
Well, there's frottage, grattage, assemblage.
Yeah.
Gotta love the French. Okay, so Avery said, what if you glued magnets to the minis and wave a hand holding a strong magnet and then over the sand to pull the minis out? Which, no, I think that's awesome. I think that's so much fun. But now I'm taking it a step further in my brain and thinking what I need to do is something is buried in the sand that they need to find and give them a quest. Oh, is that the magnetic sand?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
This was an hourglass, but
oh wow,
it broke. I accidentally broke it, so now it's all poured out. But you can see the shapes it makes, right?
That's so cool.
Pretty cool. But yes, now I've made a big mess.
So it's not kinetic sand.
I don't know what it is. It's
Avery,
magnetic.
Here's what I'm thinking. So you use kinetic sand or regular sand if you want, right? You give your players the idea that there is some old relic hidden in this desert somewhere. Give them an approximate location, even a ratty old treasure map with an X marks the spot that's somewhat off. That's fine, right? And then somehow the players will either find, or it'll be part of the quest, they need to find an item that will help them to find the relic, right? And essentially you're giving them a magnet is what you're going to do at the table. You're going to give them a magnet once they find this thing, but then they can take the magnet to the sandy area. And now as a group in real time, they can be finding this treasure. I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Right. It reminds me of a exercise I did with some Chinese kids when I was teaching English in China, where we made these dinosaur bones out of paper mache, and then myself and one of the teachers went and buried them all in the sand pit, and then we did like this archaeology dig site where everyone
That's
had
so
to
much
brush
fun.
the sand back, and we found all the bones and put all the bones back together into the skeletons, and yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I got another one. We did something similar. You know those wooden skeletons?
Yeah.
Smash those right into your Play-Doh and
Yeah.
make sort of like, fossilized remains for your
Yeah.
extras and stuff.
See, I love how we're already building this whole thing out just by talking, because I came up with another idea. So this may depend on where you live, because I don't know if they have these in New Zealand, but do you remember the little tiny kid games that you can buy that came with two little cheap fishing poles, and it had the little fishies that would it would spin around and the fishies would open their mouth and you'd catch the fishies with the little magnetic rod?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So if you can find one of those, you get or you make little, fishing poles. So each of your players has one. And then instead of having just one relic, maybe this relic is broken up into a bunch of pieces. And so they need these special magic items to find all the pieces and rebuild the artifact. And then you could even build the little piece, like, let's say it's, I don't know, an ancient sword or something. Or maybe it's a huge ancient key. I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, they find the pieces, and they can actually build the pieces together if you, made it out of cardboard or styrofoam or something little. That way they have a puzzle. Oh, I can just keep going. This is great.
All right, so wait, I'm going to play con again. I'm going to play con. And I have play sand is on my, quick stuff for terrain.
Uh-huh.
But the one thing they talk about is if you have a cat, make sure your sand is contained.
Yep.
And the other one is don't, and this is because guys all know I'm very ill. Don't leave moisture in your sand.
Yeah.
Get some whatchamacalls. It's
those little
pill bottles.
Yes, thank you.
Desiccants and throw those in your sand so you don't get mold or anything.
Yeah.
Because you could expose your players to some bad stuff. I'm going to open this thing. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Everybody make a con saving throw.
Real con saving.
We're going to the sand, folks. Con saving throws.
So there's a con for sand. Cats. I would never thought of having it covered if you have a cat.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes sense. I just never would have thought on a smaller scale that it would still be.
Or Tarask took a huge dump on your game board.
Yeah.
Avery asks, what about something like a stone or metal map that's in pieces?
Well, let's see. I have done a stone map in pieces. I haven't done metal. Actually, I think I could do metal though. And here's how okay. This story time. I'm sorry, Avery. I have to do things in this weird chronological order for it to make sense. So I will get to the metal. Okay. Trying to figure out which order I want to show some of these pieces in. Okay. So we're talking about rock and what did you say? Okay. Something about like a stone or metal map that's in pieces. Okay. So my party, I sent them to this area. It was where rock meets desert, basically. So there were a bunch of canyons, still lots of sand. And this is more like a reptilian type of society that lives over here. There's a lot of the Yanti and the like lizard folk and all those folks. And so to be allowed to get to the next area, they had to go through this kind of trial where it was basically like a maze of canyon. It was a maze of canyon terrain where the terrain itself moves, and so there was no map, no way of telling them like you have to take this direction or this direction. It's just if you can make it to the other side, then
no permanent route.
Right, then you have been allowed. The gods have allowed you to get through and to the other side. If you don't make it to the other side, you don't. They didn't want you there. Like that's kind of the rules, right? So they go in, and basically what I did was I created more of those modular things, but for a rocky terrain. So this is just regular Amazon cardboard box. Let me hold that up a little bit more there. So you can kind of see there's like faint lines. Basically what I did was I stamped inch squares so I can at least kind of vaguely see, how much.
Correct. Yeah, you can see it when you tilted it. Yeah.
Right. How much 5 feet is. But the rest is all just styrofoam that I just.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Amber, like when you're using terrain like this, how do you measure distances and so on? Do you have different scales and so on? Do you put down the map and say, this is a 10-foot square map and this is a 5-foot square map, or you just measure it with string?
Okay, so I usually will. 9 times out of 10, I will find a way to do this. Because it's just easiest for everyone to know where they are. If I make terrain that is so difficult to put 1-inch squares on, then difficult terrain. Then I have like a little it's like a little plastic circular piece that shows like 10 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, so we can kind of quickly gauge and use that. It's just not the preferred method. No one seems to enjoy it. So I just try to do this.
I've heard of people using string and things for wargaming. So that you can do like upwards and various diagonal directions and things like that.
Right. That would probably be the most accurate, I would think.
You said curved thing. This is some type of measurement tool that you just called a curved thing, right?
No.
Is this a measurement tool? What is this curved thing?
Oh, you mean the circular? It looks just like a clear plastic circle. And it just has measurements, like it's like, showing the circumference of something, but then it's also from the middle out going, this is a mark for 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet. Okay, and since it's see-through, I can place it over the map and see exactly from this one point how far 30 feet is or something. Yeah. But anyway, so for these, Where
did someone get something like that? Or did you make this thing?
Oh, no, I got it from Amazon. No place secret. I can probably share the link if I can find it, but it was in a collection of things. It was I can show it.
I think we should make a Dungeon Studios one with the logo.
Ooh,
and everything.
I think that's a great idea. But yeah, so I stamp this and then I just throw a bunch of cardboard on here, and then this is like cheap just greenery that you get. And then because they're all modular, I could just build the map as they go. So I didn't know where they were going. They didn't know where they were going.
Right. It just became a thing.
Now, you say they're a modular. Do you set up like a pattern with a computer so that they're very interchangeable? Or is there some error here and there sometimes when you're interchanging pieces?
I guess based off of the way you're wording it, I guess I would say there's a little bit of error. I don't measure it so that each and every single piece can align with each and every single piece. But for the most part, they all do. They may not like fit perfectly, but yeah.
Okay.
enough to get an
wondering.
idea and
Right.
make it usable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it still sounds awesome. It's very organic.
Yeah. So I'll do something like that. So as far as stone goes, like if they had an all stone terrain, and I can make it so that it's modular and movable and different every time.
So what's the biggest thing you've ever made? Like what piece? What's the biggest set piece you've ever created? Are you able to show us?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
Okay, so this isn't my best piece, but because this was really slap choppy. But this is what I love about like making terrain was I had zero time that weekend. I knew exactly what they were doing, so I just threw it together. But I just took 2 pieces of styrofoam that I got from my whatever order I had last. I looked at them and I went, oh, those are kind of interesting. And I think it would be great for a skill challenge where they have to climb up out of the rubble of a building that collapsed on top of them. So I basically, I don't know if you guys will hear me, so I will scroll this first and then I will talk. So I basically made a vertical terrain piece. The map is completely vertical. Let me move this. Okay. So, scoot out over here.
Wow.
Okay, here, start. So here's the bottom.
Fuck, that's cool.
So here's the bottom. And then there's different ledges and stuff in different spots. Some toward the back, some towards the front.
That's
and
great.
They have to keep climbing up. And then there was a piece right here that would have been blocking that they had to remove. And then that leads up into the next area.
Wow. And were there encounters on the way as well? Or
there were some encounters along the way. Wow, and then eventually they make it to the top.
Oh, wow.
So
that's awesome. I'm impressed. That's my favorite piece so far.
Oh, thank you. And that was probably the cheapest and easiest to make.
Wow.
So that one was
great.
That one was just a quick
Russell was asking you about scale. So I'm assuming they were you had used smaller figures for that, or is that like a
still to scale?
Figure? Okay.
So and that's the thing. I usually keep that in mind because I don't change the scale. So anytime I'm making anything, I am very aware of how much room one of their minis is going to take. Which is fine for this because, close quarters. It was a collapsed building, so I knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of space for people to move. But I did make sure that there were interesting, like I said, there were different things at different depths. There were things at different heights. It wasn't all just rocks. There were I put the holes in that one wall so they kind of could just quickly climb it versus this rock over here looked a little sketchy and maybe if they stood on it, it could fall. You don't know. Let's see. So the second largest one would probably be this one, which I've shown on a previous stream. We haven't used it yet, though, so I can't tell you too much more about it. Oh, boy. Okay. So this one here.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I have seen that. That was...
Yeah.
This one
is big. This is supposed to be kind of like a snowy mountainside encounter.
Looks great.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
we'll see. But this moves. So this, whoopsie. Yeah, that moves. But this was all stuff, again, from an Amazon box that I just looked at it and went, that shape looks interesting. I can do something with that. And then I held on to it until I thought about it.
Right. I found out a lot of electronics come with very interesting box containers and things that can be reutilized for different components. Now that you're saying, I think about that all the time. Oh, look at this weird shape. What could this be?
I know, right?
So you build a campaign from the junk you have acquired, right? I kind of like it.
So this is my third largest piece, and this also came from a couple things that came out of an Amazon box, which now the original shape is so, I don't know, it's so hidden you might not even be able to see it. But I don't know, you could probably see. So underside here, there's kind of this is the original part. Oh no, oops.
Whoa.
Oh no, okay.
Is it heavy?
It's not, it's very long. So if I can, it's just
I've
very...
seen this. I have seen this too. I think I've seen this on your Facebook, The Bridge. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So this is meant to be a bridge, and it's 2 of these weird cardboard sleeves that came in a box. And so I just took the sleeves because they hold a lot of weight, and then I just glued some styrofoam on top to make kind of a old bridge. So,
and I like the way the scale of the bridge is also the brick of the bridge simultaneously. That's
Doesn't that help?
Yeah, and it looks great.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Sorry, I know we were talking. This is the last of the larger pieces. I forgot about it because it's right here next to me, and I don't know why I didn't see it. But my players were going to a lighthouse, which they didn't realize was also a wizard's tower. So, so I had to make it look like a lighthouse, but also, work as a wizard's tower. So basically, I took this long. Boy, I don't know if I can show this whole one. I took this long Amazon
That's okay. We see the
box.
bottom. Yep. Keep lifting. There we go. We got the bottom half and top half. Absolutely.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's all enclosed except for the one side. And then each of these pops off. So
wow.
I could basically manage each floor. And each floor had something different, some kind of a different puzzle.
How many levels is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels.
I can't just stop saying wow. It's like
I feel bad. But
wow.
But technically, you could just keep building that up. It looks like too.
Yeah, I could. I could keep building it up if I wanted to. And it was straight. Yeah, because that's the thing is it started off as a long straight piece already. So all I did was cut it into sections. I didn't have to build it and hope that it came out level. So
if the players were ascending it slowly enough, you could repurpose the bottom ones and put them on top.
That's true. Yeah.
I was thinking, use it for Misty Tower, use it for one of my adventures, and just keep going. If it's 10 levels, you just
there you go. Yeah, you could just keep stacking levels. I was worried mostly that my players would be like split between different levels, and so I wanted them to be able to see what was going on with each other. But yeah,
you're giving me the impetus to want to make some terrain for my live one-shots now, because I occasionally have had access to some pretty funky terrain from Questbook, who I work for.
Yeah,
they have this. I'm trying to remember what it's called. We did an unboxing video for them. There's a New Zealand company with some of the people from Weta Workshop who did all of the design and effects for Lord of the Rings, and they build this 3D terrain. And if I can just think of what Hagglestone Hollow.
Sounds like interesting.
And it's all modular, very fancy stuff. We spent a whole day unboxing it, and they have some marvelous things, but it's really breakable. And I think I broke like 2 pieces that day, which wasn't very cool.
Yeah.
So it's great and it looks great, but it's really delicate and really expensive too.
So that's the thing is I wouldn't say for terrain I have mostly 3D printed or stuff that I've built, but certain minis and stuff I have from other companies, and just that alone makes me scared to like deal with professional terrain. I know that if it's professional, it probably holds up, but my brain goes, it's so expensive. And if it breaks, whereas if it's cheap and I made it, I can make it again.
Well, then I'm going to give you another one. The old aquarium decorations.
Yeah.
Go to the local pet store. You can get some great, cheap aquarium decorations to be your, I'm sure you've used some already.
I have, and I love that you guys lead me into things I can show. But so
let's see it. Let's see. Come on, show.
I'm going to show it to you. But so aquarium terrain, unless I go to the dollar store, I do have a hard time finding it cheaply. Like depending on how much you want to use it for, right? But if you are going, I know this is going to sound really strange, but if you're going to a snowy terrain, if you want to build snowy terrain, I go either to the dollar store or to the pet store, and you buy the rocks that are like blue and clear, and then you can make little ice walls, if you will. This is just one single level. It's just a popsicle stick. And then I took the glass and I glued it on. And then I also bought, like, I don't know if you can see these very well, but like, this is just like little plastic stuff from like snow flowers. So I just clipped them and pasted them. And then you do just a little light brush of like white paint on the edges. And then they look.
You know, Amber, if I could do this stuff, I'd like build all this, and I could go get like a table at a farmer's market and be.
You could. It's so much fun.
This stuff is great.
Is it so funny that this is the kind of stuff? Like, I have my own YouTube channel and I don't record this stuff.
Yeah, that should be all on Pretty Nerdy. What are you doing? That. Come on.
So, and this one here, so you can buy. Oh, there it is. You can buy this like plastic flocking for like snow. And so I just bought some of that and then just glued it on. So, and this is like a little clear archway for in the snow. And then now you have walls. Like I've made these with popsicle sticks and rocks, and I can just build a whole ice maze.
Wow.
And just put them next to each other.
Bloody hell.
So.
Blooming heck.
Blooming heck.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to think. What else have I done with fish stuff? Have I done anything with fish stuff?
What have you done with fish bones? You should get like real bones. Chicken bones would be awesome, actually. You could lay them out on.
That's true. You're right.
I've actually thought about chicken bones for my costume because I want to do kind of like a voodoo priestess kind of thing for my next
You know, Russell,
character.
you just hit on something really good. I mean, you do a lot of that vampire. I mean, even just to have some like a vial of blood out on the table for your players could freak them out or something. You know what I mean? What made me think of this is when the horror movies used to use the beef. You said chicken bones, and I'm thinking about horror movies use beef and stuff to like make things look
all
horrific.
The guts. Yeah.
All the guts and stuff. Like you could do something like that. Could be really like
I once had to act in a short film where I was holding a pig's heart in my hand, and
that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. As the DM, you'd be like, here's a heart. Like take it out from behind the DM screen. I'd be like, I
had a friend driving around with a dead cat, roadkill cat, in a box in the back of her car for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I know, and it was awful.
3 weeks.
Oh my god!
It was so wrong.
Oh my god!
It was a refrigerated box, but
still. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly interject here. Michael and Jeremy say, we missed you, Doc. And so
Thank you.
all of our other regular viewers, Doc is back. I'm just going to do a little quick celebration here. I love it.
Thank you.
And then Avery mentioned white kinetic sand for snow. Yes, that's the thing. That's what I love about kinetic sand. You can get it in different colors. So even if you wanted like grassy terrain, you could do green. Kinetic sand and have people popping out like they were hiding in little dugouts. I don't know.
Get your kids sandcastle molds, and the same thing. You can make little wall sections and have wall sections of kinetic sand. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think either of you guys watch anime, do you?
I know I'm not a big fan.
Okay. Yeah, I would say it would be really cool if you could hide dead people in your walls. And I'll just leave it at that. If you're an anime watcher, you probably know what I'm referencing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a British serial killer that got busted a few years back who buried like 13 bodies in his house or something in the walls.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would make an interesting adventure for sure.
I got another silly one. You ready?
Yes.
Go.
Lincoln Logs.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Lincoln Logs? They are a toy.
I thought it was going to be like a Twinkie or something.
No, Lincoln Logs are a toy where you can build like a log cabin. There's different like lengths and sections, so you can build different style cabins.
Right.
But the hack I'm talking about is for sci-fi games. Is that you paint them silver, and they seem to take on a whole futuristic sort of feel and look.
That's actually a really great idea. I hadn't thought about really painting over Lincoln Logs. I don't have any, so I haven't used them for my gaming, but painting over them would definitely give them a different vibe.
Different vibe.
I have a very old I guess it's like a wargaming type of set it used to belong to my husband's dad. It is a very old, like plastic castle with like knights and stuff, and it's very old. And so he tried to give it to. She
says that it's probably as old as me. She keeps saying it's very old. It's
well, it was definitely like
castle or something.
I don't know, like World War II.
You're like 1,000, aren't you?
I don't know. Anyway, but he tried to give it to his son, and my husband was like, "Meh, it's whatever." But then he tried to give it to me, and I looked at him and I said, "If you don't mind that I paint this, I might paint it. Like, is it sacrilege to paint it?" And he was like, "Honey," he's like, "It's whatever you want, do it." And I was like, "Oh, thank goodness." And so I have painted it, and now it looks amazing because it looks new now. But yeah, so I have this whole castle that was just an old toy from it was my father-in-law's when he was a kid. Okay, so I wanted to get back to Avery because I almost forgot. So we were talking about rocky terrain and then metal. Okay.
Right. Yes, metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Metal. Okay, so this isn't going to seem like it makes sense at first, but it will. So when my folks went to the lava, I wanted to create this kind of large pillar that would basically be able to float in this lava lake, and it would move based off of this mechanism. Long story short. But anyway, I needed to create this big giant column. And it needs to be impervious to like lava. So I was like, okay, how am I going to make this? What's it going to be made out of? I don't know. Is it going to be made out of metal? So the best technique, after all the things that I've done, the best technique I could use to make this was I had a foam block that you can just buy, like a regular foam block at the dollar store or at a hobby store for plants. It's like, it's squishy and you can squish like pens in it and it'll stay. You can squish flowers and stuff in it and it'll stay. So just a little block. And then I had this really cool bottle opener that looked like a skull. And I was like, okay, I want that for the face of the rock because I want it to look like a skull with its mouth open. And when they press the trigger, lava will come out of its mouth. So I decided to take this bottle opener and I smushed it into the styrofoam. Okay. But now it just looks like a metal bottle opener on a green styrofoam. So then I wrapped it in tinfoil. And before I wrapped it in tinfoil, I also took the tinfoil and I squished it like a lot because I wanted all those lines and crevices, the texture. Then I flattened it out. Then I covered it up. And then I sealed it and I painted it. And so this is...
Wow.
So just so you can kind of see, you can see the texture of the tinfoil, but because I painted over it, it looks like rock.
Yeah.
Okay, and then here's this is the bottle opener, but it's covered with tinfoil, so it looks like it's just part of the rock.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I created a little lava stream to come out of its mouth that now goes into a well at the bottom. The well is 3D printed.
Too, or what did you make the lava out of?
Yeah, lava.
So this is just a pipe cleaner, and then I just did a bunch of hot glue over and over and over and over and over again, and then I painted it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's bendable. It comes out and stuff. But basically, now that I've done...
You said something before you go any further. I just want to say this. She mentioned Floracraft floral foam.
Yes.
And it's really easy, malleable. You can carve it. I don't know if you've experimented with carving it at all.
I have not really carved it too much.
Yeah, I did a lot of flower design back in the day.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very familiar with flower foam, but flower foam's great material to use.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Amber, we're not worthy.
Thank you.
Avery says for making metal props, rub and buff is great for picking out the high points.
Rub and buff. So is that like some kind of a solution to rub onto it? Is that what that is?
I have no idea.
Yeah, let me know, Avery. But so that's where I wanted, like, I didn't make terrain that was meant to look like metal, but I did use metal to make terrain. So I wanted to make sure that fit in there somewhere. Now, on that point. Oh, go ahead.
Now we're seeing terrain that's made from metal that isn't metal.
Avery says it's like a wax paste.
Okay.
I was going to ask you about doors. Do you make doors? Do you put doors on things?
Okay, when it comes to trying to figure out what's the best way to explain this. I have not made doors, let's just say that. I have 3D printed doors for my 3D printed terrain. Most times doors aren't really incorporated unless they're staying in a building, and they don't so I don't have a lot of buildings unless they're 3D. If they're buildings, they're 3D printed is usually what happens. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, that answers that question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I do have various doors. Like I was going to talk about 3D printing for a quick minute. This is probably the type of tile, the standard dungeon tile. And you can get this anywhere. Like you can get the file to print yourself, or you can order these and have them printed. And you find these everywhere.
Forge type stuff.
Right. Now this stuff is great, but I don't know. Unless you have a really great printer and you really understand your settings and get those dialed in, printing terrain is best for the more expensive printers. I will say that. I have a hard time printing terrain that I love. I have an even harder time printing minis because I don't have the best 3D printer.
What's the cost for resin though, as opposed to all these different things you're talking about, all these hacks we're talking about? I mean, yeah, I'm going to just go spend a ton of money on resin and print everything. Is that going to cost me a ton of money?
Well, it depends. So like I said, for what I have, so there's different types of material that you print out of, depending on the printer you have as well. Resin, I don't print with resin. I print with, I have this stuff here. PLA, that's what it's called. PLA, it's like a plastic, it's kind of just put onto like a big old loom, basically. And that costs about $25, and that is, I could probably print easily $400 worth of stuff.
Oh, okay. So
easily
you can make a lot with that $25.
Yeah. But that's the cheapest. That's the cheaper one. So, and I don't know the cost for resin because I don't have a resin printer. But that's where you would go for the better quality and the better everything.
And then and then I'm assuming the printer cost itself is up higher too.
Yeah, I would think so. Because mine, I think, was somewhere in like the 300, 400 range, and that was a few years ago. So I'm sure it's probably a lot better by now. But so I'll 3D print anything that like isn't too, like the details aren't too important. But anything that you really want good detail for, you're gonna want a resin printer, and you're gonna want to really understand how to use it. Because like just watching YouTube videos, I would never have figured out how to use my 3D printer. It took my DM to come over and show me and explain it to me in a way that made sense. That's the only way I figured that out. I would never have been able to figure it out. Okay. So
you're saying it's quite tricky.
It's quite tricky. So that's why I don't do it. It's a con for 3D printing, at least.
That's another con. All right.
So
con.
However, this thing, let me pull this out. This is my favorite new tool now.
Ooh.
So this, if you can see it, that whole thing. Okay. So that is my hot wire cutter. It only cost about $90, and
that's for polystyrene.
So that is for the XPS foam. So you could basically have a little tool. Let me get this. Okay. So pretend this is my styrofoam. You could have a little tool that's about this size, and you could just like and like hot wire cutter it like that. No big deal. But then you don't have a straight line because you don't have a guide, right? So with that, it's almost like a saw where I have a guide, and I can just take my XPS foam and just zoop, and then flip it and then zoop, and it has made my terrain building so fast. That is the best. I have made my money on that foam cutter more than I have on my 3D printer.
Now I want to ask you, is a foam cutter, is that hot wire dangerous?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's super hot. And okay, so I
just
Cut your thumb off.
right. I
Checking,
was gonna say there's no guide here, so when you're pushing
right.
stuff in, you just want to make sure. I have cut that section so many times, and it hurts so bad because it's just
Wait,
cauterized
do you
right
have, like,
away.
little burn scars?
Yeah,
in
you
your-
get an instant cauterized cut right there. So many of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Could you kill
That's the
someone
same as
with
the
it?
hot glue. The hot glue.
Yeah,
sticks.
and then I'll just
No, Mr. Bond, we want you to die.
I'm pretty sure also that my fingerprints have been burnt off because for anybody who's a crafter and uses hot glue guns, you get to a point where you just don't fucking care about how long it takes to cool off. You're just going to touch it anyway because you just got to keep moving. And then your fingers just get used to the heat. I have no more fingerprints now, pretty sure.
That's quite an asset, really. You can become a spy.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, trying to see what else I can show you guys. So I showed some of this. I think I might have showed some of this in the doc episode, which we might play in the future. But I also made this red rock terrain. Did I show you guys this? I couldn't
That's
remember.
okay. You can show it again.
Yeah.
'Cause you never know what episode someone's watching in replays.
Right.
They might like to see it anyway.
So this was all because I love making rocky terrain, but after a while, when they've been to this gray rock and this gray rock and this other gray rock, you want to make rock that is a different color. And so I decided that they were going to go to like this red rock canyon because red rocks. So I just made a bunch of this terrain, and it's because it's kind of rocky and canyon. Like I put green and dried vines and stuff all over it. And then I also tried to make terrain that was very layered.
Right.
So that, they really got like the canyon feel.
So, question, how long does it take to make one of these pieces? Like from woe to go, from start to finish, how long will it take you? From concept to putting it on the table?
It really depends on how many corners I want to cut. So for example, that really big mountainside one that I showed you, the gray one. That one, as big as it is, the majority of it is actually a box within it that you can't see. So it's not all styrofoam. I now have just the inner part, and then I can glue styrofoam on the outside, right? That makes things a lot easier because I'm not have to build up the volume. And so that really, I'm trying to think. Let me see. This one, going back here. Okay, so this one, for everybody to see, this one probably took me, realistically, 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, it's not terrible.
It's not
Wait, no,
terrible.
that's concept.
That's concept to finished product.
Finish.
Yeah.
Wow.
And did you sort of, once you had the concept, did you go out and find the materials, or did you find the materials and then have the concept, or is it a kind of a hybrid process?
It's a little bit of a hybrid process. It really depends, again, on the kind of encounter that I'm doing. If I have a really strong idea and this is the encounter that I want, then I already have all that stuff figured out. And I will probably have already, like, as I'm out doing errands, I'll go, oh, yeah, I needed one of those, and I'll pick it up. If it's one of those things where I don't necessarily have the strong... For example, let me see here. Where'd that thing go? I moved it. Here it is. Okay. So for the bridge, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted as far as the encounter on the bridge. I just knew that I wanted... So the story behind the bridge is that there is a place where these people walk on this bridge within a mountain, and this bridge goes on for days and days and days. If you watch Dragon Ball, it's kind of like the bridge that they take in the clouds that goes forever and ever and ever and ever. But this is down in the mountains, in the Dwarven Mountains. So I needed a really super long bridge, but then my brain was like, what's going to happen on the bridge? Like, can you see your enemies for forever because it's just one long straight bridge, or do things come out of the darkness? And I wasn't sure. And so I'm thinking about it while I'm making the bridge. And while I'm making the bridge, there's little sections that are like falling off and decrepit as I'm making it, or they weren't lining up right. So then my brain goes, Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, I really like that there might be sections of the bridge that will collapse because it's really old. Okay, there's that. Okay, now what if there's also things hiding in the dark that like to climb up, and that's probably why some of this stuff is falling. So I kind of start thinking about this stuff. It just really depends on if something happens while I'm making the terrain or if I'm trying to think. So I don't know if I can talk about this because they haven't.
Oh yeah, no spoilers.
I was going to say no spoilers yet,
spoilers.
But let's just say that for the mountainside that I just showed you guys, I wasn't sure exactly what the monster would be for that encounter, but I happened to be at the dollar store because that's where I was buying my supplies, and so I kind of looked around and went, ooh, that's interesting. So I brought some of these things home and painted them, and I will show those to you someday. But
so I think the answer is hybrid.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid.
I think it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Sounds hybrid to me.
Because I can't shut my brain off. So if I still haven't set it in stone, then there's always a chance to change it.
Right.
Now, the one material we have not talked about tonight while you're still getting things together is Play-Doh. No one's talked about Play-Doh, and you can just let it dry.
Yeah,
right?
Legos and Play-Doh. I've not heard anybody really use Play-Doh too much. Probably, I would think because you don't want to build stuff and then have it dry out, and then now you got to build more stuff. I don't know. That would just be my thing. But Legos,
they're recommending to build mini things that you can reuse, like make trees so you can reuse your trees. Kind of.
What about clay? Like that's the artist's clay that you can buy that hardens.
Yeah, I've used some of that before. I'm trying to think. I think it was for that Wizard's Tower that I showed you. I needed to make something on the top floor that looked like a light in the lighthouse. And so I bought some of that little mini clay.
Like putty.
Yeah, it's kind of like putty. It was okay. It did the job.
Did you ever
and you can paint it afterwards, which is nice.
Did you ever use sugar cubes for your winter settings? Make like a sugar cube wall?
No, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea, actually. If you had sugar cubes, you could build them up to be a little.
You could make
a little
edible terrain. Edible terrain.
I love that.
Then after you've defeated the monsters, you can eat them and terrain as well.
I love
edible
that.
minis in the terrain.
I don't know if you guys have seen in Dimension 20, they did I think it was like a 6-shot or something, but they did something that was kind of like in a Candyland type world, and the terrain that they built looked very edible, and I love that idea. I want to do something like that.
Very nice.
Reminds me of Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Princess Bubblegum.
Castle Sucre is out there. It's a free module for kids.
Castle Sucre?
Yeah, Castle
Interesting.
Sucre.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's one of the first adventures I did with my daughter and her friends. And it's you go through a candy forest, and then there's a castle, and the Wizard of Candy is missing, and you have to rescue his kids or something. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I have other things to show, but I didn't prep them. I didn't prep them, so I don't know if I should have them for after the break.
I'm going to be the keeper of time because we are almost on an hour, Amber. I'm not going to let you go on and on. We're in an hour and about 10 minutes.
Okay, that's perfect.
Are we having a break today?
We should have a break. Yes, I don't know that we need a break right this instant.
Right, go about another 10 minutes. Do you have anything else to share with us? Your mini stuff has been awesome.
Okay,
let
me just grab one more thing, and then I will be done.
Go ahead, go grab it.
Well, she's grabbing that. I'll say to you, Doc, I have a bunch of boxed official dungeon tiles that I got secondhand out off a DM that I know. I could pull them out and have a look at them and have a bit of a critique and comparison.
Yeah,
Could be interesting.
So this isn't terrain. This is not terrain. However, it kind of falls along those lines. I needed to go into the area where I usually buy stuff for terrain to make it. So this is, I think in D&D it's called a corpse flower.
Right. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But when I saw the picture, I just thought, I could totally make that. And it was so much easier to make, and I think it makes a bigger impression than if you actually had a real corpse flower mini. So it's a little bit probably larger in scale than it should be.
That looks great.
So basically, this is just one of those, foliage balls that you can get. And then I got the little viney, bendy, my brain can speak English.
Pipe cleaners?
Pipe cleaners, thank you. But it's viney looking. And then I broke off like a leaf and just kind of glued it so it has like little claws. And then these, the flowers, are just big giant push pins that I had painted little tiny skull faces on. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah, I can see the eyes. Yeah, I can see the eyes.
So
very nice.
So it's just a push pin pushed into a little miniature flower, and then pushed in, and then I have a little grassy base. I have little the viney feet, and that's it. Right. So that's corpse flower, big old corpse flower.
Just like that.
Very nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what other cons do you have? Do you have any other cons? Now, wait, and Russell was going to pull some tiles out for us.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I don't know. We can do it another time. We can do it after the break if you like. Okay. The tiles after the break. That gives me a chance to sort them out.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the other cons I would say is if you are not... I'm the kind of person that when I see something interesting, I hold on to it. And so I am a little bit of a hoarder. I'm a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to strange objects, and that's why I have my own space, that it doesn't bother people if I can keep this stuff out of everyone's way in my own space. Right. That doesn't mean it won't get in my own way, but at least I'm okay with that. So then when I come up with these ideas, I can quickly just, rummage around through my stuff and then build it and bing, bang, boom. Now, if I wasn't that kind of person, though, this stuff would probably be a lot harder. It probably would not be easy to, I don't know, to have a concept of what you need to build this thing. So,
well, I'm sort of on the other side of the con of it is I love all these concepts. I love to do all the art and stuff, but I physically, my health won't allow me to do it anymore. So it hurts to see it all. I love it. It's like, it's awesome stuff. I think it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something else, but it slipped my mind. Keep going.
Yeah,
what about cobwebs? Do you do cobwebs on things?
Yes, and that honestly, cobwebs are the easiest thing because you can just take some of this this cotton fluff that I've been using for everything, and then you can just stretch it over your terrain in pieces, and it's just instant cobwebs.
Perfect.
I use that stuff
I have
for
one
everything.
for you now. A con. Mm-hmm. Usually your players know you're playing with the terrain. A con would be, they're going to turn a corner and you don't have that area prepared. Obviously, your players kind of have that idea going along. But do you feel that that's kind of limiting sometimes?
Building the terrain in advance?
Well, no. Like there's sort of funnel. But does it? I guess what I'm saying is, do they feel railroaded sometimes?
So I have talked to my players about this a lot because I worry that I would be railroading them. However, so I know my players really well. They're all pretty much related to me, or I've known them for 20 years or more. But so I know them really well. So when I feel very confident about where they're going, I never experienced the railroading thing. That being said, if I don't feel confident in where I think they're going, I will usually think about the top two places, and I will make terrain for both.
You had said that.
Now,
you had said that too.
Right. Now, even then, they have surprised me and then go, well, we want to go here now. And I will, if I can, if it fits narratively, if it doesn't feel like I'm railroading them, I will try to guide them towards the two areas, one of the two areas that I built. But I never push it hard enough that they feel like they have to go. And they've done it to me where they said, oh, now we're going to go visit this guy's homeland. And I had nothing. I didn't even have the world built out, let alone terrain or anything else. So I just kind of wung it. That's a word, right? Winged it.
You
until I wung it until I could make it to the end of that session. and then I had time to build the terrain, and then I had a month.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
It's a bit like using maps in a VTT or any kind of maps really too, because you have the same exact issue. You kind of have to build them for the encounters that you anticipate.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And you can build some extra stuff that's there just in case. But, I mean, I spend 2 or 3 hours on a map sometimes, especially certain maps, and maybe 5 minutes on others. But it's the same exact issue, really. Are you railroading or not? Great question,
Right. So Sean Rogers just said, "I'm loving this conversation, but I have to go to bed. Good night, Sean. And I hope you come back and see the recording. Come back and watch the rest of it." Thank you, though.
Now wait, I have one more question too.
Yeah, sure.
The minis the sets or the
terrain,
whatever that landscape that you've already used. You've used it a million times. Do you retire it? Do you throw it away? I mean, these are things you
repurpose it,
right?
And then repurpose it. Well, the other is there like, can you trade terrain with people?
Honestly, that would be a great idea. If anybody wants
trade terrain,
right? No, that's a great idea.
There's a website in that, right?
Is there? There's got to be. Someone make the website. Someone do it. I think I would so trade. So here's the thing: is I will try my best to reuse it as much as I can. But you're right. At a certain point, the terrain gets old if the players have seen it in various versions of the same thing, right? So I have gotten rid of.
Do you update it as you go? Do you update it over a period of time before you retire it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys do this, but like when I buy clothes throughout the year, I will look through my closet and go, which ones have I not used at all in like the last 2 years? Okay, I'm going to get rid of those, right? But then there's some that I still find use for, and I'll keep those. Or, this one takes up way too much room and I've only used it twice. So I will get rid of this one that takes up a whole bunch of room and make one that's maybe a little more modular or, something to that effect. Right. But so for the most part, I have yet to really get rid of too many pieces. I have passed some down to some friends of mine.
Do you ever chop it up and repurpose it in other ways?
Sometimes it just depends. I haven't really needed to do that a lot. So, and usually I still have so much extra material here that 9 times out of 10, I just build instead of repurposing.
Are you selling your terrain?
Why are there people interested?
I don't know. You
I'm not planning on selling it.
I was just saying you could set up a table at a craft shop and people will walk away with that stuff.
It's so crazy.
You could make 1,000 ice walls, and I bet you people would buy that stuff and walk out with it.
Right. On a website would be the easiest way.
I mean, I don't know. That feels like a lot of pressure because now I'm worried like my little $2 popsicle stick needs to withstand.
Nerdy Nerdy is going to have a side website now. Trade your terrain.
Yeah.
You'd have to train somebody to do it so you don't have to make 1,000 of the same thing because that would take all the creativity and fun out of it, I suspect.
I guess. I don't know.
You might be right, Russell. You're probably right. Once you turn it into an industry, it probably gets very dull.
Yeah.
Could do. Especially if you're making the same thing, then maybe you've got a bestseller. You've got to make squillions of that one thing that might get very tedious.
And here's the thing too, which I've said now on video, my stuff may look great, but if you really inspect it up close in person, like my paint jobs suck. They're not good. So like, I just can't imagine charging people for my paint jobs.
Yeah, caveat emptor.
It's so funny. But
well, I can't comment. I haven't seen them in real life. They look great on video.
Well, thank you.
That's the main thing.
They're outstanding.
Yeah. So I love, if you guys think of anything else as far as challenging that like I could figure out how to make terrain for, I probably could. I like this stuff.
Right.
But we could probably go to a break soon too.
Yep. I'm thinking we should break it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. We'll come back.
Yeah, we're gonna play a little bit of a break here. We have got our we've got Alamance tonight, which I believe we've had on the show once before. Really great. We have our music parody as normal by Arcane Anthem, Deception Checks by Michael Riley. We have a comedy skit by God and Angel, which if you've watched the last few weeks,
God and Angel's
they're
cracking
so
the crap out. Oh my God.
honestly, the chicken one was the best one. I loved it. But yeah, God and Angel, super funny. So make sure you look them up on their They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram and TikTok. That's where they want you to find them the most. So they are
where was that the most? Because I have not gone to their most.
TikTok and Instagram.
Yes, TikTok and Instagram. It is at God _ the letter N for Nancy _ Angel. So it's God and Angel.
Angel with underscores either side. Okay.
Yep. Right. So make sure you look them up, folks, because these are hilarious. And then we have some bad lip reading. So we're going to go on a little bit of a break, and then we come back. I think Doc has some treats for us. I think Russell also might have some treats for us, and we're just going to keep the conversation going.
All right.
All right. Also, if you guys have any other terrain questions, now's the time to pop them in the chat so I can look them over.
Feed them in.
Yep.
Cool beans.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
It's gas expelled from the anus. I'm calling it the fart.
I'm just still not getting it.
All right, let me put this in angel terms. Farts are the screams of trapped poo.
Oh, I understand completely now. Continue.
It's perfect, yes. What else, Peter?
No, I mean, that's kind of it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I mean, we could make them like subtle and odorless.
I'm literally almost asleep right now. That's so boring.
Come on, dig in, my guy. You're better than this.
They could come at random times?
I love it. Sometimes the worst of times. Sometimes the best of times. Sometimes you'll fart and you'll be meaning to fart, but you'll fart poo. It's a trap. When in fact you're trying to fart farts, you'll fart poo. I love it, Pete. I love that idea. Keep going.
Yeah, I didn't. That's not like my idea, but I do like that. They would definitely have an odor.
Yeah, definitely an odor. How about we make it smell awful, like burnt hair, hot trash, the worst things, but also kind of like pancakes. Like the beautiful pancakes in the morning. It's the best and the worst all at once in a stew coming out your ass.
Absolutely room clearing stuff. A wonderful idea, Pete.
I feel like you guys are hijacking my idea, but I don't know. Maybe they could make like a funny noise.
I love that.
Because it'd be hard to like have something coming out of a tight ring of muscles and not make some kind of a noise.
An amazing sentence.
Bravo.
One of my favorite sentences I've heard. Yes, put a little bugle down there, a little trumpet.
A battle horn for poops, if you will.
I love that. Charging on into the toilet.
Yeah,
Perfect.
there we go.
Pete, bravo. One of your best ideas. This is incredible stuff.
Hold on. I just had an amazing idea.
He's got more?
What is it?
Come here. You gotta come here.
Go! Okay. He's on fire!
Yeah.
Oh my God. If this works, pull my finger.
Oh my God!
You got it! You got it!
That is so funny! I'm coming over there! Let me do it to me! Wait, you guys, there it is! Yeah! Wait, you pull my finger, and then I'm gonna... Fuck yeah, Pete. Dude, I don't know how we do pay here, but you got a raise.
Yeah! Wait.
Oh, good.
is Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, this is Tellin. Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, I'm doing good. Hey, I was wondering if you guys might be able to freeze something for me.
What's that?
All right, well, first I just want you to understand what it is, all right? Listen up. Here's what happened. So things went a little haywire up at old Aldor's place the other night. And,
Where?
Up at old Aldor's place.
Okay.
And one of our fellow party members passed away, right? And my whole party is left to go get the cleric to perform the resurrection. So I was thinking maybe you guys can freeze it for like 4 or 5 days.
Freeze what?
Our party member. You know, you could just stick her in the back somewhere. She's real small, won't take up too much space. We could hang her from one of the hooks. She'll look just like a piece of meat.
We probably can't freeze her, but we could probably send her down to Chancellor. We could probably do something with her.
Go send her down where?
Down to Chancellor up the road. Now, what are we talking about? What passed away?
One of our party members. She's real small, halfling, about 4'5".
Oh, yeah. Definitely want to go to Chancellor with that one.
I could be down there in an hour. You know, right now she's kind of smelling like mothballs, but, you know, if we get her in there, everything will be fine.
Well, you know, I don't partake in too much of that. We've tried to do things like that before, and the federal government normally comes in here and swarms in and shuts us down for things like that.
What if I said I'd give you $3,500 up front and nobody's got to know nothing? I could be down there in an hour. I'll throw her in my hatchback. I'll be down there in an hour.
No, we make more than that in 15 minutes around here.
Really? Okay, well, what's
Yeah, well, that ain't worth it to us, I can tell you that.
What number you looking for?
Hey, look, that ain't a number. It can't be bought. We're priceless around here.
Priceless.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's, I'll head on down to the next freezer place, see if they want to make some money.
Yeah, take it easy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hello there, adventurer. I see you're interested in the vast wealth of knowledge I've acquired and stored over the years. That's fantastic. Come in, out of the sand and the sun, take a look around. It's not every day such an interesting and willing group of, guests stumble upon my library. Feel free to explore. It's been years since the last group came through here, and they looked much less promising than you. I'm sure you'll find all sorts of interesting things, if you know where to look. But be warned, this library holds more than just books and scrolls, and only the worthy are allowed to leave with the knowledge that they find. So I suppose the real question is, do you have what it takes to impress me?
Why are you always making me climb in the smallest of places?
Well, Jerry, this is the best way to get to the podcast that we need to steal this week.
It's always
like we do every week on Mondays.
Mondays? Every Monday?
Yeah, religiously.
Sometimes I wish we could just walk through the door, but yeah. Every Monday on where do they find it?
On Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find podcasts. That's where we are.
I get so hot in these vents, I think they have the heater on.
Wait, Jeremy, don't move. Wait. Michael and Jeremy Steal Your Podcast every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts and stuff.
We're going to take your podcast and we're going to do it
better,
faster,
stronger,
hornier.
Yes.
In an hour.
Or more. Sometimes.
Suffocates the endless creed to stay down on our knees. I don't know why, I don't know what it takes. I draw the lines, but don't know what they make. Which to love and which to break. What to keep and what to hate. Drop the line, leave the water down, all alive. We can find the will operate. Coming back. It's serving the elder brain, calling the weak that they find like time to hide, or they'll suck out your mind. Addicted to the way your mind is played right there before me. I'm an aberration creeping in the underdark, just looking. I share everything with elder brain. We speak with telepathy, lawful evil. Eat your brain, I drop your HP down to nothing. Show me what's inside your mind, behind that pretty face. I can't dominate monsters, but they take once a day. And you can lead your buddies to me, make them wish they fled. I'm in their heads, inciting dread, and now they're wondering.
Okay, people, we got 1 week until the park opens, all right? So let's run through it all again. This time, please, don't forget your accents.
Get off my case! It's hot in this get-up, you chowd.
I've got 7 days to get this place ready. And if I don't make it work, I'm right back to the finger painting college.
My junk is numb!
I beat my tongue!
Someone get the Filipino employee back on that horse!
This place could become the best medieval theme park in the world. The only problem is that a lot of the employees here work about as hard as a bucket of apples.
It's beer and a ton of powdered donuts. 'Cause it's powerful, yeah! Powdered sugar!
I like to get freaky. Get what I mean? I can see your crack. Don't look at me. I bet your crack went out with your face. Do you know what that even means? It means you're pathetic.
I hate that kid.
Who threw these poops on me?
Listen, son, I give you 4 cents each for them vanilla wafers.
You can eat sand, young man. I mean, this guy's really ridiculous. Ow!
Uh-oh. Hey, girl, how you been? Face lick. Ooh, girl, you taste real good. Are you a fan of the Pikachu? Ooh, she definitely gets a huzzah. Dude, that's Denise.
Last night, we met this cool guy, and he was black. And then we went to the Firebug's house. And I was so good. Though Beth over drinks.
Is that right?
Totally. I mean, she doesn't just sip it. She gets trashed and unrolls my socks. But I eat shrimps. You got the dope?
Yeah, for shiz. Hey, man, hey, listen. Man, I don't know if I'm able to talk to you if you got a stink booty.
Kind sir, I'm the evil stud muffin.
Really?
You bet. I got girls in my dreams. How do you feel about people who go Hadouken? Hey, let's dance to music. That's my jam, Holmes. I've always wanted to work at a Renaissance fair, Mr. Eddie.
Dang it, Petey, don't ever call it a Renaissance fair, all right?
Do you trust toothpaste?
Yeah, I think it's all right.
Go have your butt checked.
No thanks.
Psych.
I bet that you were a vaguely hot woman back in your day. You been busy?
I'm working on a gravity belt. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going, all right? Today, I had a cheesesteak. Then I got a Walkman. Like a fancy Walkman? Kinda. I mean, anyone who puts a slice of pizza on bread is a pukache. That's Aztec for lazy farmer. I looked on Wikipedia. Cool stuff. Now I'm gonna touch you.
Do you want to hear your dad sing to you? Because, I groove to Kanye's new stuff. Look, Petey, I just want to comfort you. A nice massage and everything, okay?
No, thank you. I just don't...
That's what it sounds like you're saying right now.
Darth Vader is bad, and his assistant is a mouse. And he used the Force to fix all his cats. Yes, it did.
In the basement, I hid some tube socks. And that was just crazy. Who hides dumb tube socks? Old Viking dudes.
Tell me how you found the kitten meat.
What does that mean?
The kitten meat I put in my burgers everybody just ate?
What?
What? They're just baby cats. Jeez. Did that just happen?
I'm not feeling good.
Because we should have not eaten kitten meat.
Poor baby. You need a song. Little bunny, you're so pretty and cute, and you're precious to me.
It's not doing much good.
You dress ratchet.
You're so mean.
Well, you're a big toot.
Well, you jerk. At least I never kissed Johnny Schatzman.
He was a captain
leprechaun.
Your dog is ooey and it stinks. Oh, come on.
Now I ask you a question. You think they should make iPhones for babies? Because I do.
Tell me how I'm gonna make this work now. Everything around me wants to keep on rolling me by.
The hot dog stand's got no ketchup.
Jazz hand. We should start with it. Okay, that's it. No.
Perfectly
right.
written.
It's all done.
Timed it perfectly, right, guys?
Yeah.
We're back from the internet, everybody. Hey, viewers. Glad
Hello,
to have you
viewers.
back. All right. So, what do we have lined up now that we are back from the break? I didn't see anybody in the chat make any comments on terrain, so it looks like we're good there.
Right.
Where do you guys want to start?
Well, I had Russell and I were just talking about my week in gaming.
Okay.
So maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
My crew goes all over the place, and I'm going to be a little bit of a time warp, right, Amber? Because we taped one, and I was in
So
Rim of the Frost Maiden, and that episode is in like a time warp.
it's hopefully it'll play next week. So for our viewers, anything you hear out of Doc's mouth for his week in gaming, just
It's
put
all
that,
timey-wimey.
Put that
It's
in
great.
the
It's
chronological
perfect.
order of after next week's episode.
It's perfect. I had to jump in my TARDIS and get back
Right.
there. All right. Anyway.
Right.
So we switched. We left Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah.
And we went back to the day everything changed.
Now, before we get into this, can you explain for our viewers the character that you're playing?
Well, yeah, sure. That's why I had to explain. I have to explain the campaign.
Oh, you're going to explain the whole thing. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to.
'Cause we switched back, and if you've been listening, I did talk about this one. I think before I left. This is where Vecna has taken over, and the whole Greyhawk world is evil.
Mm-hmm.
Gold has lost value, or whatever. And I'm playing a 5th level Eldritch Knight.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
And we have a Acra. I always say it wrong. Bird person, who's an owl.
Right.
And who's the other guy? Barbarian. I can't remember. But anyway, so the DM is like, he found this book, Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons. Very easy to find on Google.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Game Master's book. Are you familiar with it at all, Amber?
It sounds familiar. Like I've either seen it or I owned one, but
yeah, I was gonna say, and I see its price drop and all that. I know it may have come out last year. It was the old Grimtooth's Traps, and then they've kind of revamped it for the new rules, and then they put in puzzles and stuff. But anyway, so we start, and I just have to say, we did the Molotov Goblin, and it was absolutely hilarious. You know, we open this door and we're walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden, out of this illusion wall, shoots this goblin that has vials of oil all over him.
Okay.
And he's got a torch in his mouth.
Interesting.
So that when he lands, he like explodes, right? And
Okay.
I'm right in front of this thing. Oh, that's right. It was a druid. We had a druid with us. See, we talk about druids all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Right.
Gust of wind.
Gust of wind
Blew out the igniting torch.
Okay.
And kept the goblin from blowing up on us. I couldn't have went any better. Like
that's amazing.
And we just kept going on like that. And it was funny because we knew we were like in really deadly traps, but we just kept going into them like, we're going to be okay. Somebody will have something.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And to have the DM just take that book and just lay it out into a dungeon.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat too.
That is really cool. Yeah, I just checked. I did not have that book. I saw that book, but I did not have that one.
Okay.
Well, I've got some. So you've got more to tell us there.
No, that was it for me for Week in Gaming. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened, the other big news, and I didn't get to tell Amber this at all. I told Russell. So you guys know we were gonna have the show with Luke. And my wife was away, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And I had to go to the airport. They went to a wedding, right?
Right.
Guess what the parting gifts were, Amber, for the wedding?
What?
Dice.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man, the best wedding gift ever.
D&D dice. And guess what? No one wanted them. So my wife and daughter.
Nobody wanted them?
Nobody. Look, well, remember that it was a small family thing, right?
Right.
So like Grandpa didn't want the dice. So they said, hey, give these to your dad. And then Aunt Lori said, hey, give these to your dad.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, give these to your dad.
The little dice goblin in me is so jealous. I am very upset.
You know, I'm not supposed to have all this stuff. You guys just gave me all this dice. Isn't that great, though? Isn't that really cool?
Oh, my gosh, that's amazing.
So I was just talking to my daughter in the break. She just came and told me all this. So I just told my daughter in the break, and she wants to get her Girl Scout friends together for an in-person game.
Fun.
And she's like, we can give everybody dice.
Yeah.
For the in-person game. And now, Amber, I'm going to have to make some terrain for that game.
Well, if you need ideas, you just shout them out. But I would, if it were me, I would tell those girls, I'm sorry, you need to go buy your own dice. I just don't have enough. I'm sorry.
We need someone to sponsor us with dice, actually.
No, you have to realize, too, something else that just happened. While they were away, I was out with my son, Cthulhu, and all of a sudden, I decided to buy this because I have no dice. I was like, I have nothing. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy the giant 20-sided. This could be a nice, cool light. And Quentin loves the light colors.
Yeah.
And then they show up with all this. Well,
that's amazing, though. How fun.
Kind of cool. So thank you, Russell. Yeah. I was going to be right in front of me again and forget it was here.
You should maybe come up with some kind of a reason for them to have to roll the big D20, like maybe for very important
you can't
moments. Oh, you can't roll it?
I will
say roll that one.
They did kind of botch this because they left a port to plug in the thing. So
it's light.
Now I believe the 12-sided, which I did not purchase, takes batteries, but then I'm sure it's not balanced.
You don't want to roll something that's got batteries in it, do you?
Yeah. You just have to roll it very gently.
This is just a big fluffy thing that's just...
Yeah.
You know?
See, and then I would have a hard time wondering if it was cocked, if that one rolled. You think?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You wouldn't use it for a serious thing, but I actually did use it. We did a big live action Dracula event down at a place it's a theme park called Spookers. I got to play Vlad, and we used this for rolling all the attack rolls and what have you with the big group.
Fun.
And, it wasn't very accurate, to be fair, but it was fun. It was fun, and nobody complained. So, that was the main thing. I met Robert Hartley there. He's a famous YouTube streamer dude, Twitch guy.
Now, you also, I haven't talked to you since we've been on. You also talked to Maddie, right?
Yes. Matthew Perkins was on my show 2 weeks ago. We did an hour-long interview, which I am still laboriously cutting.
Oh, okay. You're still cutting it down. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. It was a cool interview, and it's going to be interesting. Technically, it's not the greatest work I've done, to be fair. The sound is a bit wonky, so I'm kind of like, how do I want to approach these issues? There's various ways to tackle them.
Gotcha. I also got to go to Renfest.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this.
Another guest for us.
Okay.
This guy.
There's a glare.
Paulo.
Okay. There we go.
Garbanzo.
Okay.
He's actually a certified jester.
Okay.
Oh, fun.
He also does D&D tours.
Oh, nice.
Okay. How do you give a D&D tour?
Well, he takes you to like Sicily, and then you go play D&D in the castle.
Oh, okay.
Fun.
And then they sort of like take you around. And then the other thing, the big one is they go to Sicily and they do the Renfest, where it's the Renfest. Like it's always been there.
Okay.
Like he jests at the legit Renfest. So I thought Russell would like, to hear that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Real super deal. So I'm trying.
We could do our own D&D tour where you go and visit Luke Gygax's house.
Yeah.
Oh man, and the old dudes Facebook, the Facebook group, the old dude D&D. Oh man, the old school gamers are they're gonna eat me alive in the comments, because they even said in the comments, he keeps standing us up.
Oh, they said that.
They said that.
Oh, okay.
So then it was like, and I was like, oh, he'll be blah blah blah. Now I feel like, well, he did. No, but he's gonna reschedule, right?
Yes, that's the plan. We're
rescheduling with Mr. Gygax. Yes, indeed.
Yes. Okay, so Ren Fair. You went to the Ren Fair. And you possibly got us a jester to talk to, which I'm very excited about. Yeah. I continue those talks.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about that.
I've spoken to Jack Charles from Questbook. He's my boss at Questbook, and he is also interested to come on the show if we will have him.
Cool. Wow.
So if you want to talk to
that would be interesting. Honestly, Does he play too? Is he familiar?
He is familiar. He doesn't DM very much. He's not really a DM, but he's more of a marketing guy. And what he does is he coordinates DMs and players together. Mostly, that's mostly what he does. Tonight I'm going to be DMing at a restaurant in Auckland called the Dice and Fork Restaurant, which he's kind of organized. He gets all the players in there and manages all the money and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'd
be very interested because I do see a lot online, people having this discussion about paid DM versus not paid DM. And there seems to be a lot of discussion around it. So I wonder if that's something he would be interested in talking about.
Yeah. Does he use minis? Oh, he doesn't DM, you said.
Oh, not a lot. He doesn't really. He claims not to have that, bent. But, I mean, not everybody does do that, but he really likes playing, and I think that's where probably the inspiration came from.
Yeah, to build this thing. No, there are some people that are just on that side. They just want to be players. They don't want to be the controlling factor.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility, and you get out what you put in. So that's kind of it. I do have some things to show you guys.
Yes.
These are nowhere near as impressive as the stuff that we had out earlier. In fact, this is really just here for comparison to show you how good Amber's stuff is.
Stop it.
No, really, because, I mean, I bought 2 of these boxes.
I have those. I love these.
You have these. Okay, so this is another form of terrain. It's not 3D terrain, but it's terrain. And, it's interesting because you pull them out of the box, and, I mean, I got them secondhand, so, I don't know what that means, really, only that they came in the condition they came in. But inside you have these tiles, which are much like, they've got squares and things, so you can know how
they're double-sided, which is great, so you can mix and match.
You traded terrain.
I did, although actually I bought them for $40. But
okay.
Off a DM from Questbook. So they're kind of interesting, and they are modular. But you know what? The funny thing is, I've used them precisely once.
Oh, really?
I've never had a call to use them, and I think the thing is that the problem, as I see it, is that you have to really know them. And I think if you were to make the terrain, you really know what it's for. You know why you're making it. You know what the situation is. You know how you're going to use it. Whereas when you go through this box, you're presented with so many things.
Right.
And they're all kind of disparate. Like you have to find a way to put them together in a way that makes some kind of logical sense.
Right.
Which is time consuming. And I think, probably I should sit down and go through the 2 boxes and figure out where to put things and how they should work and how to probably bag them or something in specific groups so that they, I can pull them out and say,
I don't know. That might be hard because sometimes what's on one side is very different than what's on the other side. So then it's like, do you call this a river tile or is it a land tile? Because
God,
I think you just got to do like Jackson Pollock and throw them out there and then say, just look at them all. And
this is what it is.
Yeah, I know them. I got to get used to them.
Now those sets that you have right there, because I have the forest set and I think I have the city set, and both of the boxes. Okay, good, because that's a sleeve. I was going to say the boxes themselves can even be used as part of the terrain because the box, like if for the city box, it actually looks like part of a building, so you can use the top and bottom as parts of a building. Yeah.
Right, and this is which one's this? This is the wilderness terrain, I think.
Right. Yeah. So I love that about the set is that I will use the box. I'll use the top in one section, and then I'll put the bottom. I'll flip it over, and then I'll put that in another section. And now you have the different heights. So if you're thinking about your battle map and the spatial awareness,
Right. Yeah. I see what you mean. You've got that kind of rooftop tile type situation on the roof there. Yeah, that does kind of work.
Right.
Yeah, you could use that you could totally use that for a rooftop chase or something.
Yeah. I love those.
Little chimneys on there and stuff up in there.
That's, usually when we're in a city, I will use that set a lot for, like, I don't ever usually plan encounters that will happen just in the city. So any encounter I plan will be specifically like in a building or in a very specific part of the city. So I usually don't plan encounters, but I will have that set on hand because sometimes they'll pick a fight or something, and then now I can quickly build the city.
Maybe you know the answer to this. I don't know what these are for, but this one has like little triangles on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them have crosses, like that one has crosses on it.
Right.
That mark the 5-foot squares, but this one has these strange triangles.
So my understanding for the triangles, if you look on some of the other tiles, is that it's marking it as difficult terrain. It's marking it as like, this is a 5-foot square, but this area is difficult because you're climbing over a fallen tree.
Perfect,
so, yeah.
So we should do a segment called Difficult Terrain every week.
Sure. That's just going to be us having problems.
Having problems, right. Difficult technical.
I love it.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
Very
funny.
What else, guys? I know
I did have a short little Q&A for you guys today.
Okay, good. I was going to say we've missed you, and I didn't know if there was any updates you could give us that aren't part of the episode that is going to play next week.
No,
otherwise,
in the same vein, I'm just looking at a word.
Okay.
So again, magical Q&A, we take one specific thing from esoteric magic and we look at it. And this one, I had a specific one set up for Luke that I kind of put on the side when that show didn't happen, and then I pulled this one out. But I really wanted to just talk about this one word that gets used a lot and see what you guys know about it, and just kind of give you, I felt like when I went on this dive with this word, I kind of got some new ideas for the game. So let's see what you guys do. Okay.
Shoot.
So what do you know about necromancy?
Right. Well, great.
This word origins, the word parts. Do you know anything about that?
So, go ahead.
You start. Go on.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I was in private school when I was younger, and so I actually had to take a course on etymology, which I actually really enjoy, the study of the origin of words. So all I can tell you is that I can break this up into necro and mancy. Necro, I'm understanding it to be something to do with the undead or dead, something to do with dead things. And then mancy being the art of magic, and that's about all I can put together as far as the words.
Mancy actually, even without, is specifically talking to divination.
Right, it's a divination, like geomancy and various other tools of oracles and such.
Right. So the really important thing to remember with necromancy is that just like a crystal ball or a Ouija board, it's just now it's a dead person.
Got it. Okay.
And I really thought about it too, because it's in the movie, right? They run around talking to the dead people and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like dove into it a little bit to see some things about it that I thought were kind of interesting.
So what did you?
You go to the first usage of it. Do you guys know the first?
No.
Or the earliest uses?
Does anybody? I mean, ancestor worship is a sort of type of necromancy.
Well, no, it's actually written in the Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
They talk about the Odyssey. It's, I always say this name wrong, Circe, C-I-R-C-E, or is it Circe?
Oh, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Circe
sounds right, though.
The Greeks had hard C's, didn't they?
Sorry?
I think the Greeks used hard C's.
Right, as I was saying, Circes.
Might be Ker or Kirkies.
And was trying to
I'm looking it up right now.
He's trying to raise a dead prophet.
Right.
And again, it's to get information.
Well, that doesn't help at all. They make it look like it can be pronounced both ways.
Well, and then we get into that same thing with Hecate and Hecate.
Yeah.
And that is why, and I always say this on the show, I'm going to say it again, I'm sorry, that's why J.K. Rowling's did the Leviosa.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks she came up with it, but really it's just a big thing in magic. And then, of course, the other reference, without going too long, is the Bible. It's in the book of Deuteronomy and in the book of Leviticus.
Okay.
Now, my question is, you're claiming, and I'm going to be a bit of devil's advocate here.
No, go right ahead.
You're claiming that these were the first uses of necromancy, but I would counter that these are the first documented.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Documented
necromancy.
Yes.
Right. I feel that this has been going back since the Stone Age. It's probably one of the very first usages of magic ever conceived of. People
if you think about it, yeah.
You know, people love each other, and when they die, they want to talk to them. It's that simple.
Yeah, and that's and Russell, that was the very next thing I was going to say, was they talk about it being the base instinct of you want to talk to your loved ones that are dead.
Right.
Exactly. And you want the answers you didn't get from them when they were in life.
Right. Which is quite different to the sort of necromancy we tend to think of when we're talking about D&D.
Right.
I mean, I think of raising dead armies and the Lich King and, you know, shit like that.
Now, it's funny because in the Bible, Samuel tells the story of King Saul had the witch of Endor.
Wow.
Endor? You mean like where the little fuzzy guys live?
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, but he used that name anyway. All right. Anyway, so I just thought that was kind of another weird, geeky coincidence that Endor is tied in there. But then the other one that I thought was kind of cool about that gave me a new kind of thing on the campaign, how to use it in a campaign, was that it was the risk of like death, even if you were this type of medium. In those times that you spoke to the dead, like you were talked about in hushed whispers. Right. If you were found out, you might be crucified. Like that whole aspect of it, you know, everybody always wants to be a necromancer in the campaign.
Right.
Do they want to suffer the slings and arrows of being, you know, the outcast of society, which I don't know if that part gets played into as much. So,
right. You have to sort of keep it a little bit secret. Do either of you guys use necromancers in your campaigns?
Well, Enron is designing necromancers to be a new kind of class and fit in, but it hasn't come out in the supplement yet. So that's why I'm kind of hitting on it too, kind of looking at it and analyzing it a lot more too.
Yeah.
Right,
And I don't have any players who have wanted to play a necromancer, although I have a really great character concept I can't wait to try.
Right. I have an arch lich in my game called Ivariel, and he's like a prophet, and he rid the world of the dragons and the giants many thousands of years ago, and then after doing so, sort of he took over half of the world, and then he rid the giants and the dragons, and then he handed himself over to the elves, and they put him in this prison called the Sufferance.
That's
Where
right.
he wrote this prophecy about the coming of the Parkard stone, which would decimate the world. And then he immolated himself. So yeah, it turned out to be a good guy. So I like to have some complexity, moral complexity in my arch liches.
Yeah, I like that.
Because that's the thing. I mean, necromancy, we're all like, oh, it's evil. It's so evil. But this guy used it to defeat bad guys to cleanse the world.
Yeah.
So, where does that stand in a moral kind of zone? So,
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people consider Frankenstein and Dracula and it's all necromancy, and really,
right.
it's not. It's really
it's look, nailing people on crosses and getting them to wake up is also necromancy.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, at its core, it's what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's like Frankenstein is a monster story, but is it? Because it's not.
Well,
really, right?
And then that's really not the name of the monster. That's
right.
That's the doctor.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
See, doctor. Yeah. Those dirty doctors, I know.
Well, and I have to be honest, because that's really where I kind of get my DM name from.
Right. Oh, really? Dr. Frankenstein?
No. Oh. If you've ever seen the movie Bride of Frankenstein,
right.
The whole premise, because there was no bride story, they came up with this idea of Pretorius, Pre, and he was Dr. Frankenstein's doctor, professor and teacher, instructor, taught him all these evil things, and they come together because Dr. Pretorius has figured out how to develop life from cells.
Okay.
Not from dead bodies. And he creates the bride from cells.
Interesting. So on my channel right now, I'm watching horror movies and then turning them into D&D adventures, and I might have to watch the Frankenstein and then the Bride of Frankenstein and get through those.
And the other thing that's really interesting in the Bride of Frankenstein, there's the scene where there's a blind man and Frankenstein stumbles into the blind man's hut, and they end up becoming companions. And it's a very heartwarming part of the story, turned incredibly hilarious in the movie.
Yeah.
So incredibly hilarious that if you remember the film Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
The scene with the blind man.
Yeah.
is almost the exact same scene.
Wow.
That's in the horror classic. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
does
I changed it to Pletorius.
I was going to say, does Pletorius mean anything, or did you just kind of switch up the sound a bit?
Well, the big joke for me for many, many years was that I was a single dude and I was every girl's friend because I was Captain Platonic. Just carried over the PL. Pletorius.
Oh no.
It works.
Well, at least, I mean, not that you need it now, but I would say that your name does not just ooze platonicness. So at least you don't have to worry about that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Pletorius now.
I love it. That's so funny.
So that's where that name came from. But the Bride of Frankenstein, a must see for everyone. It's
This is the time of year. I mean, like, I'm sure people are just now probably starting to watch their horror movies. I've been watching for like about a month now already. Because I just love it so much. So I'm always looking for new or old things to watch that I haven't watched in a while.
Well, you saw that Dungeon Studios meme where I have where Michael Myers is stabbing the elf on the shelf. Anyone talking about Christmas before Halloween?
Right.
Yes, we
Right.
must get our Halloween season in. Yes, please.
Yeah, we found a way to extend Halloween in our house so that when our Christmas tree goes up, a lot of our ornaments, because we love horror so much, a lot of our ornaments are horror based. So then we just have like a Halloween tree, but we also have other stuff on our tree, like all the nerdy stuff, Doctor Who and Star Wars and Star Trek. So it's a hodgepodge, but at least I can look at my tree and go, oh, look, there's a bloody chainsaw. Love it.
The nerd tree.
Yeah.
The tree of nerd.
Great. It's great.
Wow.
Okay, so your week in gaming. What about you, Russell? Do you have any week in gaming you want to talk about?
Oh, week in gaming. Let's see.
Because I definitely don't have anything that's fun anyway.
Okay, so the Vaingate Chronicles, which is my kind of flagship stream with actors and stuff, has kind of restarted. Although what we're doing at the moment, one of our characters 2 years ago, he died. This character, Milford Brixton.
Mhm.
And so we're doing this kind of 6-part mini campaign right now with him in the Shadowfell, where his character has become a Shadakai. And the beginning of the story, the other players are all playing these ancient Shadakai servants of the Raven Queen. So they're all very constructed characters designed for this test.
Mhm.
And so they're kind of shepherding him, or they've shepherded him through the Shadowfell to the Fortress of Memories. And then he's gone through a bunch of tests in the Fortress of Memories, facing his regrets and so on. And we did all these really cool flashbacks where the players improvised as various NPCs from his past at different times, different scenes.
That's so
they
cool.
So they're just moving in and out of character and changing characters as Barry, who's the player of Milford, went back in time and moved around different parts of his life. So he's been playing out these regrets, and we've had various death scenes where various NPCs that he's known have been killed trying to save him or trying to do something important. There was a whole storyline where he falls in love with this girl who's she's like the bookkeeper for this the lack of a better term, a whorehouse.
Okay.
And so she's the bookkeeper for this whorehouse, and they discover something funny's going on. And so she ends up in danger. He tries to save her. This sort of all coalesces into this situation at the end where she gets killed, and he doesn't realize she's dead, and he picks her up and carries her out of the building. And then he puts her down, and he's like, are you okay? We got out of there just in time. Yeah. And then he looks at her, and she's dead. And then heartbreaking stuff.
Oh my gosh.
All the players were just so on board with it and going through the emotional stuff with us. So it was amazing.
That's
we've got
awesome.
one episode left this Friday. So if you get a chance, Vaingate Chronicles on Twitch at Rollstream. I can say my own thing.
Now, can you see them? Can you watch them in order? Like, so you don't.
Yeah, you can, and I'm going to publish them on YouTube and into a playlist as well, so you'll be able to watch them there. But I have a playlist on Twitch you can watch there, and I've cut the beginnings off all of them so that you can you don't have
go
to sit
right
through
in.
15 minutes of we're going to start playing soon.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the plan. Actually, one of our players, Joanne, if you go back to the earlier Vaingate Chronicles stuff, she has edited a whole shit ton of our games, so you don't even have to watch all the umming and ahhing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
The whole way through.
Wow.
You can just watch the game itself. So that's kind of cool. So she did
that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of episodes that have that treatment, which is good. Not all of them. We haven't finished all of them. There's a lot of episodes. We've been streaming for going on 3 years now.
You guys have been streaming for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's cool. But after this arc has finished, we're going to go back to the main characters who are now 10th level. And things are going to get interesting, to say the least, from there, because the whole game is kind of changing now. The whole landscape, the political landscape, and the sort of the kinds of goals that the characters have are about to become significantly more, well, difficult, shall we say. Interesting newer obstacles. They're not just going to be dealing with local stuff anymore. It's, now we're talking about wars and big shit going on.
Right. So where, like, are they what you would consider like 50% through the campaign, or like to the end? What
Right,
level?
yeah,
What level do you think they'll get at? Like when they get to the
well,
end, that kind of thing.
I mean, when I started this campaign, I guess I was a little naive about 5e. In so much as I figured, I'll take it all the way through to level 20. And I also was a bit naive about streaming and all that sort of stuff. So my plan has been and always has been to take them through to level 20, at which point it's already kind of begun that some of the characters know that they are candidates to become the avatars of certain gods.
Right.
And the kind of metagame here is that the player characters are the avatars of a group of gods who have got back together to fix the problems that they created in the world they made. That's kind of the metagame. But the thing is, the players themselves, their characters are not necessarily the avatars. They're just candidates for those avatars. They have to prove themselves to be the avatars before the gods themselves will inhabit them.
Right.
But they got time. They've got time, and they're building affinities with those deities. And I mean, one of them, Adric, who's the dwarven rune knight, he is really resistant to the idea that he's an avatar. He hates the gods. The gods killed his child, so he doesn't want any part of it, and he's sort of having to grow as a character over this very long arc where he's starting to accept some of these things, and that's really cool. So awesome. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to catch that latest episode, and I want to see all the
Russell,
emotion.
So I just wanted to ask, they play VTT?
I mean, over the course of the entire Veingate Chronicles, 99% of it has been theater of the mind.
Okay.
And more recently, we've been trying out a couple of VTTs, actually. We used Roll20 for a while. I've used Roll20 for a lot of paid games because it's really, really common. I don't honestly like it. I use D&D Beyond much more frequently. We more recently tried out the Above VTT, which is a really nice, clean, beautiful virtual tabletop from the people that make D&D Beyond, except that they're doing it in their own hours off the clock. So it doesn't have the kind of support that you would expect, but it is free. And it's a really nice VTT that plugs into D&D Beyond. However, it has a couple of really annoying technical issues that occasionally come up, and when they do, it's really not very cool. So
it slows everything down.
It's so frustrating because it's such a good tabletop in every other respect. I really, really want it to work. It's much nicer than Roll20. But these things like characters that just fly off the screen at unpredictable times and stuff it's not viable to keep using it all the time for this. So but I mean, my preference is still theater of the mind, to be honest, because it's so flexible for this type of stuff, especially sort of acting stuff. I want the actors to be big on the screen.
Well, I just keep thinking too, though, a little bit about Amber's models and stuff, and having a feature, like a final feature.
Yeah,
right.
I think because I do, whether it's VTT or
in person.
No, what you make
terrain.
Thinking about the scale and sizes, I feel like, I know, Amber, you said earlier in the show, I like where there's that gray area and where people are, but there is a little bit of strategery there that I think is important to the game. About movement, and I think is really important too. That could really be, really good, but it's the editing of it. I don't know how cool it is for someone to watch.
Right.
Does that make sense?
You mean like if you're doing theater of the mind?
No, I'm saying like if Russell were to use something like a model like at a big finale for Veingate.
Right.
I don't know how that translates.
Well, I mean, when I did start off,
kind of thing, like
I had a spare camera. Actually, it was a cell phone on a stick, basically pretty much just taped on a stick, and with its own Zoom account. And I had my battle map. And I have a bunch of terrain. Actually, I should have shown you this stuff. I don't even know where it is now. But my first attempt at terrain was to get a bunch of white paper and some crayons. And I spent an evening making dungeon tiles out of white crayon and fucking crayons.
Hey!
It works.
It works.
It's the terrain you'll ever see, and it absolutely works. It costs you nothing, almost nothing. I mean, I borrowed my wife's stuff, so it didn't cost me nothing. Poor Helen, but that's okay. So I mean, that's one way to go about it. So you can just get a camera and point it at a map and add it to the, that's your VTT. It's not even a virtual thing; it's a real thing. You
right. It's like real virtual.
Right.
Yeah. Which is what I usually do if we have to go online, because I've already got the physical terrain. So I just do a camera on the terrain. Yeah.
Right. You can do the same thing with the dice tray if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not Roll20. I mean, Critical Role. They, of course, use a lot of terrain.
Right.
But they have a studio setup, so they're not streaming live across a network. They're streaming from a studio, so they have a little bit more flexibility, and they can sync all their sound and so on, and they have much more expensive equipment than I have. They have 60 people working for them, so
I was gonna say, they have a whole crew behind them.
But I just want to call out real quick. I mean, like, I could tell that you were a little like, well, I just made this with crayons, but like, that's the thing that I'm constantly telling folks. Like, I see so many people post that they've got Dwarven Forge terrain, and everybody's like, ooh, ah. But how many people are excited to show the terrain that they made with glue and whatever? And that probably took a lot more work. And I'm not saying anything bad about Dwarven Forge whatsoever. I just want people who don't have the means to use Dwarven Forge to not feel ashamed for making your terrain. Like, you can make your terrain out of anything.
Exactly. I like to tell people I can play D&D with a stick and a piece of string.
Yes.
You don't need anything. That's the big lie, is that you need rules, you need books, you need dice, you don't need any of that shit.
Yeah.
You can do rock, paper, scissors if you want to figure out conflict resolution. If you even need to go that far, if you don't have the capacity to just go, hey, that's the best thing for the story.
See, I feel like it's like watching a Michael Bay movie, right? Do you need all these bing bang booms and splashes and explosions? No, they're fun to look at. It's fun to have, but you don't need that. You just need characters and a story.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing. But the terrain certainly gives it a style. It adds a whole layer to it,
It does.
Going back to your question, Doc, about terrain and VTTs, I started experimenting with Incarnate about maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And I've made about 110 something maps since then. And I love it. It's great. It's easy to use, and it produces really nice looking maps, especially if you put your time into it. And that has sort of empowered me somewhat and instigated this whole thing where I've started using VTTs a bit more, because now I've got all these maps,
that you can use, that you can utilize. No, that's great. That's great.
Right.
And maps can be very dynamic too.
Yeah.
Right. The great thing too with Incarnate, you can make a world map, and then you can zoom in and bring out a whole area of it, and then detail that up, and then zoom in and detail that up and zoom in. You can do that, as many times as you want. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of regional maps and, a couple of world maps, and then lots and lots of battle maps that I like to fuck around with, because I like painting. I don't use too many of the stamps, to be honest. I like painting if I can.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ooh, see, and I'm crazy. I like creating stamps.
Right.
That's one of my things. Is like, I like to go out and find something that's specific. Like, this is the stamp. This is it. I need this skull right here.
Right.
I want to go back to, you mentioned lighting, and that I would say is a pro for doing we had our episode on online gaming recently, but dynamic lighting with VTTs is so much easier and way fun to experience than in a physical map, where basically I, as the DM, am just kind of eyeballing, going, Yeah, sure, you got line of sight, sure, but
see.
if you have a map, you can tell exactly where the light is cut off and where it's not cut off. What can you see? What can't you see?
Now that's where we're at. Now I've talked about this before. I use Photoshop, and we do light where you just erase the layer,
right,
as you move through.
Yeah, like the fog of war.
I'm confused. I'm missed.
Oh, like in most virtual tabletops, there's a fog of war feature where the fog rolls back as you move through it. So
is it like that?
Wherever you've been?
No. This is in Photoshop software. You have a photo, so you make the map one layer, then you just put another layer on top of it, like that's black or gray or whatever. And
I see.
And then you like erase the light sections.
Yes.
Or you can use like a filter that has a light area that moves. Well, I'm using non D&D software.
Right. Got it. Okay. Yeah. And it sounds like you're kind of using it in like a fog of war type way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what Russell's talking about.
Yeah. No, I do like that. Even the fog of war, but dynamic lighting as well. Just because it's a lot easier, I think, than in person. With in person, depending on the way I've built my battle maps, I've got 5 different pillowcases all over my table so that I can slowly reveal things as I need to.
I was going to ask you, is that how you do it, using sheets or cloth or something to reveal?
It depends on how certain I am they're going there. If I know they're going there, it's already out on the table and I've covered it. If I don't know, then I have 2 different displays in my room that I'm getting ready to pop out.
You just gave me another idea.
Okay.
Terrain covers.
Terrain covers. Somebody make terrain covers.
Terrain covers. You can
Let's do it.
Logo,
terrain covers
on the terrain covers.
Yeah.
So
and you can trade them on our website, the terrain trading website.
Yeah.
I've created 2 things tonight.
Dungeon Studios.
We sure have. Josh, get on it. I'm sure you're listening.
Get on that, Josh.
This is what I do on this show, man. I create lots of stuff. I don't actually create any of it. I just spit it out.
Yeah. And then you just leave it up to us, and we got to figure out how to make Dungeon Studios terrain covers.
Anybody that wants to do anything we talk about, it's great.
We're just gonna market like pillowcases.
Right. I figured out how to make T-shirts the other day. I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna do some.
No, I can't say this. I am very excited. There's a very timey-wimey thing. I'm done pretty much editing the Volume 2 adventures. I know the reading teams are finishing reading them, and I'm going to do my final edits on them. So I got back to my, and I wanted to tell Russell about this too, my basement full of arcane secrets.
Ooh.
And this is going to be like a game-breaking evil stuff in a basement. I can't wait to finish. It's almost done. I got like 3 rooms to go.
Oh, wow. I'm so excited for you. That sounds amazing.
I can't build miniatures and terrain, but I can still write adventures. So.
Oh, you are great at writing adventures. I love it. Well, good. I didn't realize how much time we killed in this second half, but we are getting close to wrapping up. I wasn't sure if there was anything else that we hadn't gotten to that you guys wanted to go over. I'm
pretty cool. I mean,
yeah. Okay. So I just
pretty good.
I want to get back to, now that I touched on that point about making terrain cheaply, I just want to cover a few things that I know I didn't talk about in the first half of the show. Number 1, dollar store. And I don't even know, like, you don't have dollar stores probably where you're at, but something similar, like
Dollar General,
something really, just a cheap sundry item store that sells things for very, very, very cheap. You can also find certain things on Amazon. There are a few things that I really love, but okay, so dollar store stuff. Always go to dollar store. Keep an eye on things that, like, yeah, you don't like G.I. Joe men from the dollar store, but if they're just about the right size, maybe you could probably cut off the bases, glue them on some things, and make monsters, enemies, whatever. Yeah, statues.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff at the dollar store.
Make lots of cool impressions.
What we need from you, Amber, is a shopping list.
A shopping list, yes.
To get people started with their terrain making.
Okay, so number 1 thing, you're going to want a glue gun, and you're going to want stuff for your glue gun. I tell you, I go through the little, I don't even know what it's called, just glue sticks. Glue sticks, right? That's what they're called.
Yeah,
I go through a bag of 25 glue sticks like that. So keep yourself stocked. Glue sticks.
Right.
Okay.
Are they expensive?
No, not really. I think maybe a glue gun plus a set of glue sticks is probably going to be under $10. So,
Wow,
and then
okay,
you just got to keep buying the glue sticks.
And I do recommend if you're going to go for the glue stick, man,
Mm-hmm.
go get the heavy duty one at the hardware store.
Yeah.
Like, don't. That's not the dollar store item.
Right.
Buy the sticks at the dollar store.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the glue gun. Get a good glue gun.
I mean, to be fair, my glue gun is probably also from the dollar store, but yes, it is falling apart.
Get a good one. Do yourself a favor.
But he has an excellent point. Hardware store was going to be my next spot for like, if you're going to make terrain. There's so many things that you can find at the terrain store. I call it the terrain store. But it really is, because it's like this weird plastic piping. I can use 2 inches of that to make this. But then there's also this weird steel wool that I can make this, and then, there's this rag. And there's so many things at the hardware store.
Come on
Terrain
down
store.
to Terrain Depot.
Have you ever put sandpaper as a terrain?
You know what? You just gave me a really crazy idea. Because if you go down to the hardware store, there's that guy who's cutting all the edges, and then they leave all that stuff on the ground.
Yeah.
There's like little cubes and little triangles.
Right.
Jesus. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
like little remnants of wood. Honestly, I do that because my husband does a lot of woodworking in the garage, and I will always go in after and just there's this weird triangle shape. Okay, cool. Oh, there's this weird oval. All right. And I just kind of, again, I'm a little hoarder, so I go and put it off somewhere. But
does he ever come into your house with some piece of wood, like some funny shaped piece of wood, and he's like, "Darling, I've got some weird shit for you."
Yes, and that was going to be the next thing was Amazon, because we both order from Amazon all the time. Never know what's coming in any day, because it could be something that he ordered, something that I ordered, what have you. But yes, if he's ordered something that has really interesting styrofoam, he will usually come in and go, "Do you want this?" He knows he can't just throw it away without asking me.
He knows that you'll kill him if you do.
Yeah. So Amazon boxes, Amazon styrofoam,
packing materials,
all of that stuff. Right. Packing peanuts. I've used packing peanuts for things.
Have you used bubble wrap for anything?
I have used bubble wrap. I have glued it onto cardboard and then you spray paint over it, and so it just kind of gives like this very interesting texture to the road, kind of like a cobble road. Yeah, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. If you paint it blue, it'll look like water.
Yeah,
water floating.
That's
right.
true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look around and think if there's anything. So as far as shopping lists go, glue sticks, tin foil. That was one of the things. So if you're using XPS foam a lot, then it's very flat. And so to give it some texture, you take tin foil and just kind of roll it up into like a ball, and then you're just rolling that on top of the foam, and it gives it a texture, so it's not just straight and flat and looks unnatural.
I got a good one, Russell. I know what she needs. She needs an ice pack. You know why she needs that ice pack?
Why do I need an ice pack?
All those times she burns her fingers with the glue.
There's no feeling here. There's no more feeling.
But then you can put it right on the ice pack and control the burn.
Right. Control the burn.
So this stuff is called polyfill. You can get this at craft stores. So I have bags of this that I use for all kinds of stuff.
Now, is that the same polyfilm they sell at Halloween that you stretch out to make cobwebs? Or is that that's the same stuff?
Yes and no. Okay, so for cobwebs, it is a slightly different texture so that when you pull it apart, they come out like straight. Like when I pull this stuff apart, it's still very curly and wiry, whereas the cobweb stuff can pull out and actually will be straight.
Kind of strands and stuff, right?
Yeah.
What about human hair?
I have not used human hair in my terrain, but that doesn't mean I can't, because I shed like crazy. So I probably should.
Where are your baby teeth?
Human blood and
they're being saved.
I say, where are your teeth?
I'm not going to use my baby teeth for terrain. That's actually more important to me to keep the baby teeth than the terrain.
Oh, that's an interesting one. You keep your baby teeth, huh?
Toenail clippings, they'll do.
Yeah, cavities and all. I still have my baby teeth. I'm trying to think of any other important terrain stuff. That's honestly, it's the glue. You're gonna need primer.
I have one. Do you have a workspace? Since you use all this hot glue, I know I used to work on a big tile, so I wouldn't like burn the carpet or anything. Like having a good work area or a cutting board, something to work on top of, I found to be very helpful.
So my office, which I am in right now, has a bunch of different sections. So my computer right now is on my work desk. So this is where I'm at most of the time, which also has my 3D printer, my hotwire cutter, my second computer screen and printer. That's just one table. I have a work table off over here. That's where usually all my stuff sits that I'm in the middle of. I have this screen behind me, but behind that is where all my minis and D&D maps and all that other stuff is. And then I have all my crafting stuff over here. There is not a lick of extra space in this office. It is all being used. So each side of it is like some
that
part
would be
of my
another
life.
recommendation for someone who does this. You definitely need to have storage and space somewhere if you want to get into this hobby. Absolutely.
Yeah. My husband got me a like a big tool box, if you will, that I use for all my tools for crafting D&D stuff. So
that's another handy thing. Absolutely.
Toolbox.
Mm.
So, okay, I think that's it. I just want to make sure. If you guys ever have any questions on how to make terrain cheaply, I can say it, terrain cheaply. That's one of my missions, I guess.
Right.
Saying that right.
Awesome.
Right.
Well done. You managed to talk about terrain for the better part of 2 hours.
Well, I would say I didn't talk only about terrain, but sure I did.
No, that's true. But
all right, folks. So as long as everything goes according to plan, next week will be a pre-scheduled special episode of Doc. So remember, timey-wimey, you saw him today live, but next week will be a pre-recorded episode that I had with him a few weeks back where we caught up and we talked about where the heck he's been and what's he been up to.
I get to ask myself questions.
You get to ask yourself, you're going to be in the chat asking yourself questions.
I think I may.
Right.
Yeah, so it won't be a
I
live
missed that
show.
whole thing.
But however, if you catch it, go ahead and comment in the chat because there will at least be one, if not more, of us Dungeon Studios folks there to interact with you, even though
it's going to be a first. I think it is our first played recorded show.
Pre-recorded show, yeah, I think so.
It is our first pre-recorded show. I think
yeah.
It is. So we did one way back, but.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and this is just there's just some scheduling stuff happening. Even though there's 3 of us, you know, it's sometimes hard to just always be live. So we're doing our best to keep giving you the things that you like, and also dealing with what we have here.
And guests. Okay, we
and
got
guests.
some more guests coming up, and we're going to make sure we have Luke rescheduled for you too.
Right.
Yes.
And we're going to try and talk Josh into doing some more giveaways as well.
That is coming up. Yes, I would love to talk about that. So, all right, folks, we got to wrap this up. So it was good talking with you. I'm glad that we were able to pull off a show last minute with some changes, and we will see you all. Well, me and Doc will sort of kind of see you all next week for our very special episode.
I'm not going to see you next week.
That's right. You're not going to see Russell. I'm so sorry. But you get to have a nice, relaxing evening.
Yeah.
No, Russell, come in and put a picture of yourself in the comments, and then
yeah, there you go.
I don't think I can post pictures in the comments. That's the funny thing. These streams don't allow you to post.
Oh, that's right. You're right. You can only.
I don't know what that's about.
You can't post an image.
Well, put a picture of yourself, using like parentheses and the letter O's and things like that, and just eventually
ChatGPT to do it. Yeah. Yeah, like make a picture of me. I'll be like, "What do you look like?"
If anybody can do it, you can do that.
Okay, everybody. So remember, with a little initiative and creativity, you will always have the prime advantage.
I love it. Doc taking us out. Yeah. All right, folks. That's it. We will see you next week.
Adios. Goodbye. Zaijian.